Louis, I like your sign behind you. My son, he
Have that
was
too.
well, he's 8, so let's say 3-4 years ago, he called these 6 signs, and he just to beg me just to print them up. And I'm like, let me do it at work because he wants like 30 of them. He hung them all over his room, and then he just found like a stack of them. And he's like, Daddy, do you want my 6 signs? And he put them on the games that are broken. Like he put the painter's tape and Centipede and needs the monitors messed up and the pole position doesn't have boards in it and Frogger's playing blind. But he went around and put them on those 3.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's cute. Yeah,
That's
but
cute.
that's why there was just a couple. He goes, Daddy, I found 2 more. You want to save these? And that's why I just had them like within a reach.
That's
I have a
awesome.
nice little stack. Like I was literally like at work printing up like 30 copies because I'm not going to do it here.
They're from Wreck-It Ralph, right?
Yeah. I got them off of John's, because he had vectorized or whatever.
And then somebody went and activated and then.
Yeah, I did the same thing back when I opened my arcade at Halloween, not this year, obviously, but the year before. And for the down games, put the little sign on. Yeah, that's super cute.
Yeah.
He's
Dino!
Chip off the old block.
Dino. And Jimbo.
Gino, were you there
what show number are we on?
We are episode 247, and we're live.
Yay.
Oh.
I'll be fake Seabart and post it on Claw.
Hi, Jim.
Hey.
Hi. What's up, Shirley?
I still can't get into IRC. I should have taken a snapshot of my hex chat settings for before because whatever Gleek told me didn't work. So whatever. Fuck the IRC. No, I'm just kidding.
It's all right. They don't watch.
You're trying to go direct, right?
Yeah. I use a client and which I prefer to the web stuff, but I don't know what setting I have wrong or what. I can't connect. So
Gleek blocks you.
Besides Andrew and Gak, does everyone else know what I have? What I picked up? I picked up like a big time game, or I got it from Donnie.
You've been stealthy.
No, I got a Star Trek's captain's chair that's in my parents' garage.
Nice.
What?
I know, isn't that crazy? Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, and I've got side art or the art over here from this old game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be a project.
I still have mine over at my parents' house in their basement, and it's yellowed. I don't know if yours is yellowed. It's
I'm gonna have it sprayed. I'm gonna take it to I got a guy at work, his brother's collision shop. I'm gonna have him do it. I'm gonna have him do that. And I'm gonna have him do my Super Hangout because it's really yellowed.
I'm still thinking I'm gonna try the Retro Bright on it.
Oh, mine's also got like a cigarette burn. I'll have him just, it's not perfect. So I'll have him fix it and see how it comes out. But
does it have all the parts? Is it working?
It doesn't have the canopy, but I know someone I'm going to have to, it didn't come with the canopy. And I did it. Donnie picked it up and I'm like, in fact, we were playing cards that night and Donnie told him, mess with Dave when I leave because he said, he's always known I wanted one.
Yeah.
And then, so we did a trade. I got a really good, real bro price on it. So
it has the seat you sit in, but not the back part that goes over your head.
It just doesn't have the canopy. But I know someone who's getting one this weekend actually. So, and it's a friend. So I'm going to try and copy theirs. At least have one, somebody I know versus, hey, can I borrow your canopy from your $4,000 Star Trek to have someone, you got to have a close buddy who'll let you do that.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks,
that is great.
Gino's the only guy I know who's better at that game than I am. I thought it was going to kick ass on it.
It plays a little different than the stand-up because you have the controls on one side and the controls on the other.
It's better, I think, than the stand-up because your hyperspace is right next to your thumb compared to the
played it as a kid, so
I
remember playing it.
Yeah.
And liking it. And then, I just played it in Fun Spot in October. And theirs still works, so. But I'm a big fan. That was lucky. Never thought I'd get one of those ever.
That's a grail. That was my very first arcade game that I collected.
Really?
I picked it up in Santa Cruz at the Capitola Mall, and they were closing out. I picked it up for $200.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Nice. Was it working?
It was working.
Oh man, nice.
It was
Mine's
working,
not working.
Well, when I went to play it, it had like horizontal collapse on it, but the arcade tech fixed it. I brought it home and
wow. I don't know where I'm going to put it. I have that and the
It's
Spy
tiny.
Hunter
You can just
cockpit.
tuck it into any corner. It'll be no problem.
You know,
Nobody will
but
hardly
next-
even notice.
Next to the Spy Hunter cockpit, it doesn't look as big as because my poor parents. I'm like shoving. There's 1.5 Spy Hunter cockpits, a Star Trek captain's chair, and a track and field for my buddy in Canada who asked me to pick it up. So all these games are in their garage. My mom's like, "What are you doing? You're bringing something else?" Well, no, this is the chair part of the other one because Donnie brought the first part because he could only fit half in his van and his car. He didn't bring his truck, and then he just went and picked up a thief in Ohio, so he had to pass Buffalo to get the thief. So he's like, "I'm bringing that damn seat of the captain's chair. I'm sick of walking around it, my garage."
Hey, you want to talk about the heaviest, most pain in the ass game to ever have is Stun Runner.
Hey.
And so speaking of Stun Runner,
and the guy who created it.
That was my little segue. I tried to do that.
Yeah, right.
Like it.
For a segue. What a show.
Mine was in a traditional cabinet until I sold it. I didn't have the big seat. I didn't have the room for it. And we didn't have one in the lab, of course.
I only knew of them being in that cockpit, kind of the
prototype. It was a prototype.
Right. Awesome.
And you must have an amazing camera. Does he look as good to you or as everyone else as he does? And he looks like he's on a soap opera. Like you're so clear.
Well,
he's using like a DSLR.
It cuts him out really well.
It's a DSLR. It's a Sony.
Knew it.
Photography is a passion. So
yeah, dude, you look really good.
Maybe it's my dirty.
I mean, the
mind,
quality of the picture.
Yeah,
maybe it's my dirty mind, but something over your left shoulder looks a little phallic.
I was thinking the same thing.
It just looks a little wrong. The other way.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
What is that?
Yep.
There we go.
Pillow.
It's
that was a fake background.
Not even close to.
On the exercise bike.
Oh, that's
Great,
funny.
I guess
thought it
we
was
just
a
have
fake
dirty
background.
minds.
I guess so.
Sometimes the just dust the sausage.
Yeah, I think, and I think it was the slight blurring effect didn't help things because
Dude, we turn our backgrounds on
That
when
was the
it's
adult
messy.
game he was developing, the Intruder 12,000.
So everybody, we have a guest today, Ed Ruttberg, who's famous for many great classic arcade games and home games and whatever. We gotta talk to him about what future stuff what currently he's working on. But some of the classics, I believe you worked on was Battlezone, right?
Yeah,
Battlezone, which is an incredible classic. Holy crap. Talk about as classic as you can get. Great game. We got Blasteroids. So looking at the list here. Just going to name a few of them here and there. Guardians of the Hood, a Hard Driving, Hat Trick. I'm trying to get to the one I want to talk about. Race Driving, Rampart, which is amazing. It's an amazing game. Stun Runner. Here we go. This is the game.
Too much credit for Rampart here. That was not, that's.
Well, you worked on it.
I didn't. I played it a lot.
See, Stun Runner. Let's see that mini. Is it Sente mini golf? Okay, here's the game for Carrie. Is it Shunts? Is that how you say it?
Oh, shoes.
Oh, shoes. That's right. Shoes. I always say Shunts. Shoes. Yeah, it's spelled weird. So that was a game we had in our tournament that Carrie picked, and everybody loved it. Yeah, it was a super fun game. So, just to go out of order here, just to talk about that real quick. How much involvement did you have in making that? Are you at 100% or
in which game?
Shoes.
Shoes. That was pretty much 100%. That was my proposal. I'm glad. I got to say, I'm pretty happy that you guys even know about it. It's
great, man.
Bar games made a lot of money, and there were some big bar games out, that were like making a lot of stuff. And Atari just never did any bar games. And I said, why don't we do a bar game? And so my proposal was a one-line proposal for a game you can play with one hand while you're holding a beer in the other.
Nice.
That was the one line. We said horse, something like with a simple movement like golf or horseshoes, and a horseshoe game just seemed like a perfect bar game. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a big hit. We had it at our Grinkers event that we used to have once a year down in Eagle, Idaho. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it was a big arcade. All the arcade collectors from Clov and stuff. We would meet up there once a year for an arcade tournament for over the weekend, and that was one of the games that Carrie picked.
Yeah, we all get to pick a game.
We all get
That would be like,
we all
okay,
pick a
this is our
game.
Well,
pick
thank
to
you
put
for
in the.
picking my game.
Absolutely, and it was a huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge
And
hit.
You know,
yes.
part of why I picked it, other than just because nobody expected me to, and
Nobody.
and I figured nobody would actually, like, nobody's gonna walk in and be like, oh yeah, shoes champion right here, I got this one in the bag. Like, that was probably
'cause
not
we get
gonna happen.
ringers.
Yeah, oh yeah, we
Yeah,
totally
we get
do.
ringers in there, so
Yeah,
they
for some-
fly out just to win and collect their prize.
Yeah,
And
there's
we-
upwards of 150 people that show up from all over the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
that
That's
would go there.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
so
people
part
playing
of it
all
was
over.
I figured people would be grateful for a game where you could sit down, because I know that my
Yeah.
feet hurt, you know, being you're standing there for so long talking to people and to playing games, and your feet hurt. But what I did not expect was the slight bit of backlash from that was a favorite game of some people who do not play in the tournament necessarily, and so they were bummed because they weren't able to play shoes, because this time it's like it was being hogged by all the people playing in the tournament. So I thought that was kind of fun, that it was like a hidden gem for some people.
Yeah, that was.
How many of you guys actually have shoes? Just you, or?
None of us. I don't
None
know.
of us.
Oh, okay.
It's very rare. I mean,
It's hard to
Yeah.
find.
I've seen
We're
like
not-
kits pop
not a
up for
ton of
sale. But did it ever have a dedicated machine, or was it the bar top, the countertop version?
Only the bar top.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I would love one.
I could have
thought it was
sworn I
fun.
saw like an art kit for like a conversion, but I could be wrong. Like for
Yeah,
upright.
we found out that Atari really didn't have a distribution network that was strong in the bar market, so it didn't sell all that well.
Oh, too bad.
Do you know
That's
how
all
many
right,
units
yeah.
were made? I mean,
I think it was probably under 1,000.
Wow, that's rare.
That
Yeah,
means there's
from-
probably 3 out there.
yeah, I've never
Yeah.
seen. Yeah, exactly. I've never seen one ever for sale.
No.
It was my second to the last game. I have only one left at this point, and that's Battlezone. But
Nice.
yeah, I used to have a larger thing, but when I moved out of the Bay Area, it was just too much. I took 3 games with me and eventually got rid of 2 of them. So just left
Right.
with the Battlezone.
So related to Battlezone, I see you did what was it, Bradley Trainer.
Yeah,
So the rumor I heard there was only like 2 or 3 of those made. Is that correct?
probably true.
Okay.
Oh, that was that the
I've
military
seen one
one?
in person. I have actually seen one in person.
Oh wow.
There's
Yeah,
like-
Can you give us some backstory on that? Like why that was made?
Yeah, it was shortly after Battlezone was released. I would say shortly, probably about 3 months. And I'll give you the whole story. Atari was
No,
looking
for the record, Ed asked me if we could not talk about that, and I didn't tell anybody.
I
And
Sorry.
said,
Oh, you
let's
didn't?
not
I didn't
dwell
know
on
that.
it.
Why didn't you
I
tell
blew
us?
that.
I said
So-
as long as we don't dwell on it. I'll give the quick story.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know. We weren't informed.
Right.
That's all right. That's
blew
all
it.
right.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Lewis.
well,
For the pre-interview,
Yeah, we-
Lewis.
Yeah, we'll talk
And
to our
if there's
talent
any
agent
other
about that,
topics,
about
put
our-
it in the chat,
It wasn't
private
really-
chat.
It wasn't
Let's just
really
talk
a
about that.
fun time of my life.
Like, don't bring up his pink pillow. It's shit. Too late.
So so anyhow, so what happened with that was Atari was trying to get into some other businesses, and a guy named Rick Moncrief, who was the the project lead for the hard driving and race driving games, he had gotten in touch with some retired Army generals, and they wanted to see if they could create a game that could be used as a trainer for some of the new military technology that came online. And Battlezone sort of got them all thinking. So they approached Rick, and they wanted it. They thought they could have, make just some changes to Battlezone and make it look like this and have it ready in 3 months. And because there was a worldwide, it's called TRADOC. It's where, all a lot of the budget gets, project get proposed for budget. And so they wanted to present this at TRADOC. So I was given 3 months to create something that simulated the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, which basically meant I spent 3 months of my life every waking hour at Atari.
Oh boy!
And the only reason I even agreed to do it was I made him promise that I would not be involved should Atari decide to get involved with the military, because I had come from my first job involved. The company did military contracts, and they're looking over your shoulder all the time. Your hiring practices, who's doing what and everything like that. And it just didn't let the right people rise to the top. So
every time you step out of your house, there's like a row of black SUVs pulling away.
I really wasn't worried about that. I mean, I had a secret clearance in the day, but it was more, it just, they get involved in a lot of things that really don't affect the product. So I just didn't want any part of it.
So there's three things I'll say I know about it. One is I believe it has a Star Wars yoke controller instead of the.
No, the Star Wars yoke controller was designed from that controller. That controller is an inexpensive
like the precursor
replica
to it
of what's actually in the infantry fighting vehicle. It has additional palm switches, which the Star Wars controller never had.
Ah, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I noted that when I saw it, because they're normally the two separate joysticks, that you push, pull, and twist.
Yeah, well, that's what Battlezone was, right?
Yeah, but the Bradley trainer had what looked like to me a Star Wars yoke controller. And then I also heard that it's super hard to play compared to Battlezone.
Yeah, it's on MAME. I've played it. It's hard. It is hard to.
Is it on MAME? I mean, you do have to. There are real trajectories to the shells, and it is. And then the game is that you fire at friendly. You don't fire at friendlies. You fire at foes. So that was the game, such as it was. I mean, I only had 3 months to do it. So
yeah.
Owen wants to know if there's a volcano in it and when's it going to erupt.
There was no
Does the moon have a smile on it?
Owen's volcano in Battlezone. Yeah, it's still great though.
That was a Battlezone story, right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's a Battlezone story. There are a few of them, but that's one for sure.
Well, Ed, I have a memory from Battlezone that I never forgotten that I just thought was really cool. Is when I was young. I don't remember whenever Battlezone came out in 1980. I was like, 13 or something. But anyway, I went to this arcade when that game had just come out, and this arcade was a huge arcade at the mall in La Jolla. It was above a skating rink. It was called Yellow Brick Road, and in that arcade, all along the wall, they lined up battle zones. They had probably 8 of them, maybe. It was a bunch. And they had 8 of them just next to each other, boom, 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 all along a line. And it was just a really neat thing to see that something like that. Just some arcade would buy so many of them and put them all along there. And it was popular, I mean, when that game came out, it was huge, So that's just kind of a memory I'm just sharing with everybody. That's just something with Battlezone. I thought that was really cool that I mean, usually an arcade would just have one of something like that, but when it was a hit game, they just bought a bunch and stuck them in there. So that was pretty cool.
And I guess the later models were open face, but I never remember seeing any.
Yeah, they were all periscope style.
Yeah, the molded plastic that you looked inside. Yeah.
And I was little. I had to stand on the little thing,
Yeah, they gotta have that stand. It was the Battlezone I remember was in a sandwich shop in Los Angeles. Don't ask me where. And I remember playing it and looking through the window and stepping on the step and kind of doing this.
Oh, you couldn't reach the periscope even, huh?
I couldn't reach the periscope. I was like 7 or 8.
I could reach the periscope, but yeah, I think I had to stand on the box a little bit. But
that
was genius.
One of the main reasons I was actually opposed to the periscope idea in the first place. Had famous arguments with Morgan Hoff, who was the project lead. That was only my second game with Atari, and I thought that the open face design would let people watch and get excited and put their coins down and let little kids play more easily. But he was adamant, and so we had the periscope.
I think it's immersive myself. But
it is.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. But it's definitely one player.
So then that leads me to one question. Ed, I don't know if are you familiar with the website Killer List of Video Games, also known as KLOV?
Yeah, I actually.
So it's like a collector forum. So one of the guys in there a few years ago, he noted something about Battlezone cabinets that on the top sides there were these holes drilled.
Yep.
And he started this whole thread on the forum about I think it was called like strange holes in Battlezone cabinets. And there was he documented like hundreds of people would chime in and they had to show pictures, all the serial numbers. And there was like up until a certain point, I don't know if it was before or after, but at some point they had holes and other points they didn't. And I some rumors, I mean, I know the pedestal at the bottom, it was for two reasons, I believe. So shorter people, kids could step up on it, but it also was kind of a top heavy game. And that helped prevent it from tipping over is what I heard.
I don't
the
think
holes at the top, I mean,
kid.
maybe you can confirm this or not, but did the machine actually have a second monitor above it?
I believe they sold kits after the fact.
Okay.
It never shipped with a second monitor.
Okay.
I think that's to the extent that was done, it was like done to facilitate people doing their own mods in the field.
I see. So do you know about the holes then in the cabinet? What that was about?
That's all I can presume. I do not recall them. I recall reading about them after the fact, but no, not at the time.
This would be interesting to bring up because I know it was seemed like kind of a hot topic for a year or two there. A lot of people chiming in talking about it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I remember that thread. Yeah. Yep. Like, what's these holes for?
Yeah.
That's weird. So let's see some other games. We could talk about Snake Pit.
Yes.
Gak, do you want to talk about that one? I don't know much about that game.
So Snake Pit. So we're switching gears a little forward to when
we're jumping around.
Sente, right?
That's Belly. That was the first game that Belly Sente did.
Is it? Okay.
Well, actually, no. It was the first decent game that Belly Sente did.
Yeah, because I know Owen Rubin when he was on. I can't remember what was it. Goalie Ghost. I thought was his first.
No, Goalie Ghost was something I did in like 2 months just to fill out the catalog. It was never meant to be a huge success game. But that was the game that premiered. Well, actually, it was the first Sente game. We had a company called Vidya that got bought by Pizza Time Theater.
Are you talking about Snake Pit or Goalie Ghost? Which one?
Snake Pit was the first.
Okay.
Was the first Sente game. The group that did it started with Vidya, which is a company that I formed with Howard Delman, who's now Wendy Allen, and Roger Hector. And we did a game called Gridley for Gottlieb, which was horrible. I mean, it was cute, but it just didn't sell. And then the Sente system that Howie designed was a cartridge-based system, and Snake Pit was the first game for that. And there was a game that never came out from Atari called Fire Beast. It was a game that I had started. I left 2 games when I left Atari. I left 2 games that I was the project lead on. One of them was Fire Beast that never went any.
So Fire Beast, I believe Scott Evans owns it now.
Well, he owns one of them.
Okay.
Peter Lipson still has the other one. He's the one who finished the game.
Okay.
The snake algorithm that was used in
Snake Pit
is the same one that I had used in Fire Beast for the thread coming down. But I had, for Snake Pit, I made some more improvements to it. But the bulk of the game was programmed by Lee Actor. Because at that point I was mostly managing. I would do some. That's why Goalie Ghost. It was like, hey, I'm the VP, but I got some cycles, so I'll work on this other game just to fill out the catalog.
So what I really love about Snake Pit is the combo of the joystick and trackball. Andrew and I don't own anymore, but Wacko is a trackball and joystick game, and just like the way that interacts. I just love it. It's awesome. And then the theme of the, Indiana Jones style theme, is
right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
but it just, I've honestly, I've only played it a few times at California Extreme. I actually have the daughter card and I reproduced my own control panel, but I haven't wired it yet. So for the controls, but it just gets hectic pretty quick, though, right? I mean,
It does. Yeah, that was the fun part, was programming the AI for the snakes, and I did that as well.
That's
So
awesome.
you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was the whole Sente experience was pretty different.
Yeah, I'm sure. Interesting.
Would you consider the Sente experience a success or a learning experience, or what would you
Learning
categorize
experience. I mean, you know, I had, you know, been an Atari engineer doing Atari games, and we saw the Activision boys go off and do their thing, and the Magic guys go off and do their thing, and we wanted to stay in arcade, but you know, a lot of that was because of the less than generous bonus policy that Atari had back in the day. And I think when we left, we may have been the last straw in the bonus policy there. Either that or the Magic boys were. But you know, after we left, they significantly improved it. And when I did my return to Atari, it was a much better system at that point.
Interesting.
when you came back to Atari from Sente, Blasteroids was one of the first ones you did.
Blasteroids was the first game I did when I got back, and you know, that was basically I was asked to do a sequel to Asteroids, and I had been wanting to do a game based around a rock paper scissors theme, and that's why there are the 3 different kinds of ships that you can choose from. And we figured, you know, let's make it a potentially cooperative game with joining up the ships and everything like that. So I just wanted to try a bunch of different things.
I believe that game has an ending too, I believe.
Yes,
right?
It does. Mucor.
Yeah, you fight the big green thing at the end, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the pictures of Mucor, it bears a sad resemblance to the coronavirus.
Oh.
Green instead of red.
Oh, nice. I have some folks on a separate chat. There's a guy named Mark. He says he loves Blasteroids. Bob Whiteman also says he loves Blasteroids. He named his old lab computer Mucor. And Bob asked a question. He says that there's something familiar about the sounds from that game for at least one PC game, Master of Magic. Now I've never seen Master of Magic, and I'm not sure. Did they share instrument libraries or something like that? Was what he was asking.
I've never seen Master of Magic, so I don't know.
Okay.
You know, that was all done, you know, just for that game. So it's another game which had an interesting ending. It was, you know, at that point they were scheduling the games further out. You know, when you're going to go into production, you got to get it done by then. And the game that was right in front of us, they slipped their schedule, so they pushed us up. So basically, I put everybody on a one month death march to get it done, and promised the 4 principal guys that, or 3 principal guys, that I would treat them to a round of golf at Pebble Beach, back before it was quite as expensive as it is now, if we got the game out on time. So,
wow.
And that was on my dollar.
Yeah, well, motivator.
Yeah.
I wanted to golf there too, so you know, it's all right.
Win-win.
Yeah, there you go. We're all going to Disneyland. something fun, everybody. So, Blasteroids, did your team also all have control over sound effects and things, or did you have a certain team that just concentrated on sounds? Or
there was an audio group at that point at Atari, and you know, we would talk about, you know, the kinds of sounds we want to do. You know, we'd get basically one of the guys out of the audio group would be assigned to our game, and they were working with us.
Okay.
So that's how it rolled.
Okay. How many people were on that?
Oh, let's see. There was me and Pete Lipson were the programmers. There was Gary Stempler was the hardware designer. We had I think it was Gary Cunningham was the tech. We had Don Deeknight did the sounds. We had a couple of guys from the graphics group, and I can't remember which ones it was. I think maybe Bridget Erdman and Sam Comstock. I can't be sure about that. It's in the credits of the game, so you can look that up. But that was basically the team right there.
Yeah.
Oh no, Mike Kelly was in there as a game designer. Don't forget Mike Kelly.
I remember playing that game when it first came out. I learned early on it was quite the quarter eater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could continue in it, not like normal
Right.
Asteroids.
You wanna
had
finish it.
objectives,
You got
and
asteroids?
warp gates to go to, and
I've debated about playing that, but I haven't.
and instead of
back.
a left right button like Asteroids or Asteroids Deluxe, it's a dial kind of like a Tempest. So that's a whole
Yeah, and
different
the
animal.
different ship modes that you can like get really agile, or you had the one with the heavy shields, and that was kind of a neat dynamic as well.
There's a small ship that's fast. Could it shoot fast? I'm trying to remember what.
No, it shot very slowly. Well,
Slowly.
No,
Oh, wait.
It didn't shoot that slowly, but its shots didn't do much damage.
Oh, that's
Then
right.
there was
The
the
heavier
fighter
ships
that
were more damage. Yeah.
there was a fighter that was more balanced, did more damage, could shoot faster, couldn't fly quite as fast, and had better shields. The little one had very weak shields. And then there was the big guy that was really a beast to move around, but could take a punishment and had a much more powerful shot. And
Andrew,
then,
could you stream the YouTube link I posted while he's talking about it so people can see it?
Could do a couple seconds of it. We've got to be careful with that.
Okay. Isn't that because the sounds are
Good. Keep chatting.
you could combine it, since there were two players. If one player chose the small ship and one player chose the big ship, they could combine for added abilities then.
Oh, okay.
There's
Or
Mucor.
the Mucor.
He does look like the coronavirus. You're right.
I'm sorry.
There's one of those warp gate things.
It should have a resurgence this game, just so that you could.
Were these ships
all the ships
modeled and then photographed from above, like bird's eye view, or are they 3D models?
This was I wanted to do, since we weren't doing vector games then, I wanted to do something different with the way the ships look. So we actually paid one of the guys from ILM. You know who they are, right? Industrial.
I don't.
Yeah, special effects company.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the model builders from the Star Wars films built the models of the ships for us. And I gave them all three of the models away to different people on the team. But then we digitized it. And this was like way early in the digitizing things. Some of the rocks were like lava rocks for fireplaces that we digitized. So we did a lot with digitization. There was some computer generated stuff. I forget which ones they are, but
a little guppy fish.
Yeah, these spinning guys were computer generated.
Oh yeah.
What was really cool about this game were all the different types of power-ups you can get.
Yeah.
Look at them spouting off those little things. You like that guy, Carrie?
Awesome. I do.
This looks like a gym game, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Galaga 88.
Yeah.
The kind of the fun animation and cool sounds. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Who do we lose? I feel like we had a reshuffle. Anyway.
Jim.
Yep. No, Jim must have.
How popular was that
connectivity
Blasteroids? Did it do well?
It did, it did well, but not real well.
Okay. Not like Asteroids level kind of thing, I guess. Oh.
Don't I wish?
Yeah.
Did everybody here get to play it in the arcades? That was one of the games I played in Miami when I came back to the States. I have fond memories of that arcade in Kendall, Florida.
The States from where?
I was in Argentina, and I came back to the States. So
cool.
So then we have let's see, Fire Beast, which I don't know anything about. Does anybody know anything about Fire Beast?
All I know is I've played it a few times. California Extreme, Sky Scott Evans, the Atari, we know him as Atari Scott. He has one of the prototype machines. I think it's like in a Liberator cabinet, Atari Liberator cabinet, with like a hand-drawn marquee.
Yeah, with prototypes, it doesn't, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a
cabinet is just
prototype
whatever's handy.
Yeah.
It never made it to market, right? I mean,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No, it was. I don't know if any of you are like science fiction buffs, but it was originally I was pushing Atari to get the license, and apparently they really tried to get it for Dragon Riders of Pern series.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the concept behind the game. And like I said, that's one I left in the middle. The other one I left in the middle was a game called Warp Speed. And I wanted to really use that Bradley Trainer controller, and it eventually became Star Wars. So I can't take credit. I mean, we had, at the time I was I was project leading it. We were hooking up two systems so you could do space dogfights with each other.
Oh, wow.
Turns out you really have to restrict things because people will get lost in space real easy.
Yep.
Yeah, imagine.
So
Hat Trick, that's Sente and Name That Tune, right? Both those?
yeah, well, I was
I'm trying to remember who in
our
our group said that. It was either Dave. Oh, here we go.
There's Fire Beast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see those kind of slithery things coming down. Those are like the snake pit. I can
Right.
see.
I originally wrote the algorithm. There's a funny story about that. My son, in his freshman year, was taking a programming class in Java, and the instructor, and this was years after this game, the instructor gave him an assignment to figure out how to do moving snakes on a bitmap screen, which is basically this algorithm where you remove the tail and move the head forward. So you're basically replacing one pixel, leaving the other ones in row, and then do algorithm. It's and then you create a linked list of these things so you can move them from one behavior to another behavior. And so it was a cool little thing back in those days.
Awesome. So the Sente, I don't remember who I had this conversation with. It was either Mock or Dave, I think. The Sente games when they would have a track mode or at the end of the game, they would have like missing children.
Oh yeah. I brought that up to you.
Yeah, and we're like, whatever happened to those people? Did they ever find any of them? Like, somebody needs to follow up, make a YouTube video on it, right?
They would. The thing was, once we committed these games to ROM, they were, if their game was still around a year later, that person might not look the same anymore anyhow.
Yeah.
So, but we were asked to do that, and that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Just wonder if anybody was ever found as a result.
Yeah. What about the whole winners don't use drugs? Remember that started appearing on the games?
The FBI warnings.
Yeah. I was like, was that strong armed into the machines or what? Like, hey, you got to put this on your machines now.
Director Sessions.
They got tax write-offs for putting those in their games.
It became, just part of the package you had to add to your game. So we didn't think too much about it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's in the demo
And
mode.
so race driving, that game, I just remember being like insanely hard.
Yeah.
To me, that was kind of like
hard driving or race driving?
I played it
both.
I think they're the same. I mean, that's hard driving and race driving.
Oh, the race driving's the one where you can do like tricks and stuff, right?
Well,
like
it's more
loopy loops.
Yeah, the loop de loops.
You can do the big loop.
Yeah.
To be honest, I just wrote all the music system for that. That's all I did. I eventually worked with that whole team, which included Rick Moncrief, who was the Atari guy behind the Bradley Trainer stuff, at another company later on called Silicon Entertainment. I don't know if you guys have ever seen NASCAR Silicon Motor Speedway. It's a location-based thing at like malls, like a Mall of America has one with like 12 cars, and there are these 7/8 sized NASCAR cars where each one is run by 3 PCs, well, actually 5 PCs, 3 PCs for the 3 graphic monitors. You're running on real NASCAR tracks with real physics, force feedback steering, motion platform.
Yeah,
and
those are wild.
There's up to 12 players playing on the same track at the same time, depending on the location. And so that whole team, they asked me to come back, and I ended up writing a large part of their render for them at that point.
Wow.
Damn.
Crazy.
Yeah, I haven't seen one of those. That's amazing.
So I'm just going down the list. So Rampart was the next one on the list. I think Lewis needs to be the one to talk about that because you had one, right?
Yeah, what do you remember about Rampart, I guess?
Well, I remember playing it a lot. I remember being with John Solwitz and Dave Ralston, who are the 2 guys responsible for that, on the night when they came up with the idea for that. It was basically, there was this board game called Cathedrals. And you had these little, you can look it up, I'm sure. And you had these little different building blocks that you could, build bigger and bigger cathedrals and stuff like that for it. And there was probably beer and maybe some harder alcohol and maybe some other stuff involved. And John came up with this idea for the game based around that whole thing. And other than playing it and giving a few suggestions here and there, if I'm in the credits for that, it's because I was there when they came up with the idea. I didn't do anything.
It's a great game. It obviously did well because it got recreated for other platforms. Other
It's a cool game. If you've ever played it,
it was very intimidating as a kid. Seeing that game in arcades, it looked complicated, and then it was something that I discovered later playing it on, like, I think Sega Genesis, and then I loved it. I was like, oh, this is a great game. It's just fun. But when I was young and I saw it in arcades, I was like, this looks complicated. What is all this? Oh, there's math involved.
It's waiting for that. There's no math
For
in
those of you
games.
that haven't played Rampart, it's got 2 phases. There's a building phase that you take the Tetris pieces, and you have to try to make castle walls around your cannons or your castles, actually.
It's sort of like the first tower defense game, if you think about it. That's kind of what it is, right?
Honestly,
yeah, it is.
It is, right? It's the first one.
Yeah. Then you plant your cannons, and then you shoot up your opponent on the other side of the river, or if you're playing single player.
It was a body of water coming in. They were landing ships.
Landing ships, yeah. I always think of them as pirates because they come and they drop their people on land, and then they go and they
invade,
prevent you from building more walls.
Everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
very advanced for a game.
It's really 2 different types of games because you got you play it against the AI, but when you play it against other players that are really
that's where it's real fun.
That's really
it's tough.
Yeah,
you yell at each other.
I never played it against other players. It's, when you're in a lab.
Do you know anything about the ending of this? Apparently, you can beat the other commander, and then you can actually execute them.
Yes.
What?
By guillotine.
Yes.
Wow.
You have the option.
Yeah. I recorded it on mine when I had it, and I posted it.
Let me see if I can find that on YouTube.
It is crazy.
That's at the end of the game when you beat it?
Yeah, you have a guy sitting on the defeated opponent sitting on a guillotine, and you have the option. You can be merciful, or you could roll the trackball and slam on the guillotine.
You guys are into like all these obscure games and things. I have this DVD that I don't know how I wound up with this. I don't know if you can make that out. Maybe it'll refocus here. Come on, refocus. There you go. It says Atari Prototypes.
Oh.
And that actually was made while I was not in the gap in between when I was at Atari on both sides. So I don't know how I wound up with this. This is a DVD of a bunch of Atari prototypes, some of which made it, some of which never made it.
All right, let's get on that.
Cue it up.
Let's make a few copies of that DVD, please, and let them leak out.
Yeah.
I can read you the names of the titles on here. There's Mark Cerny's, I think, first game ever called Quack.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here's my dog. I saw somebody had a dog there.
Yeah, that'd probably be me. Yeah. Mine make appearances, especially
All right,
vocally.
dog tags.
Yeah,
Can we get a picture of the dog?
Come up here. There's my dog.
Oh my goodness, what a cutie.
Space Serpent, aka Fire Beast, you already saw that.
Yeah.
Crystal Castles, Black Widow, Pole Position, Rex Havoc, aka Major Havoc, Owen's game with Mark. A game called Runaway, a game called Hair Scare, a character demo, a game called Aka R.
Oh yes.
Yeah. That was a
and
big
Star
scandal.
Wars. So if I can send one person a DVD and make copies of it, I don't see any reason to keep this to myself.
I have your email.
Yeah,
I'll be reaching out.
contact me.
All right, Lewis.
Let me know.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
But make it for this crew. I don't know that. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for it.
Right. Awesome.
Sorry about my dog.
You never sent it to me. It
Never
got lost in
apologize
the
for dog
mail.
noises.
Yeah.
He
So,
was asleep on the sofa. He had a 4-mile walk or 3-mile walk today.
Oh wow.
How
Wow.
old is he? Because he looks pretty young and energetic.
He's a 3.5, and he is energetic, and he needs lots of exercise.
I have one
Ryder's-
who's 4, and they could probably play well together. Because she's the same.
He loves other dogs.
Oh, the Kong Wubba. Yep, I recognize that toy.
Yeah, you've got a pink one.
Yep, I have a pink one, and I have a Halloween themed one too.
He's got
that's
a
right.
purple one too.
Hey,
So
Yak.
Stun Runner, I you said you had an upright, but that obviously that was a prototype, but they were always in the sit down kind of cockpit
Yeah,
versions.
that's the only way.
And
Motorcycle.
I really enjoyed playing that. I wasn't that good at it, but I definitely if I saw one, I'd play it. Back
Owen
in the
is
day.
working here. He just told me he wants a copy of this DVD as well.
There you go.
Hi, Owen.
Turns out like all that reverse engineering he had to do for like months and months, you got it right there on disc. He's like, don't. So Stun Runner, like one thing I've always thought later was looking at the machine. I'm like, they should have made Return of the Jedi in that cabinet. Like Return of the Jedi is the
Right.
upright, and it's kind of like that ice
yeah.
but you're the land speeder, right? And so it's almost like a land speeder, like sitting on it.
Yeah.
But here's the practical business side of the whole thing. When you make an arcade piece like that, you can't put that cabinet into like what we call, locations like convenience stores and
Right.
bowling alleys
Right.
and bars, places that can't afford the space for that.
Yeah.
So while it might have been a cool idea to do, like 1,000 of a cabinet of that style, Return of the Jedi would need, an upright version no matter what. And there would be so many more of those.
Yeah.
Yep. Asking more questions about Sunrunner. Were you like the originator of the idea for it? Because I always considered it kind of like a what's it called? Not Roadrunners.
Road Blasters.
Road Blasters too. It kind of had that feel to it to me. Of course, it was like much more advanced and 3D-ish. But anyway,
The tunnels, you swing around and all that.
It was the first game out, after hard driving to use that hard driving hardware.
okay.
I was not the originator of the idea for that. Did Owen or Bob talk to you guys about brainstorming sessions?
No.
No.
I already had
That's something I
formal
want-
brainstorming sessions
Ooh.
where for a period of about a month, they would have all of the employees in the coin-op division submit game ideas. And it didn't matter whether you were, on the production line, putting joysticks onto a control panel, or, you were a purported game designer in engineering. Anybody who wanted to submit a game design could submit a game design. Then they would take all the game designs submitted, and they would go off-site with a smaller group of people. All the managers, some of the key players in terms of development and design and stuff. And they would go through all the game ideas. There'd be a champion for each idea. They'd present them. We'd pick the top ideas, and we'd have a blessed book of games that any qualified project leader who was open to do a job, do a new game, could pick any game from that and automatically be approved for that game. If you wanted to do something else, that was a bit more involved. But that game came from a brainstorming session. A gal named Carol Cameron, I think she was in documentation, came up with the idea of racing in tunnels. And when I took it over, I wanted to do a game that would just give you an incredible sense of speed. That was the bottom line for that game. You got to feel like you're going way fast.
Hitting those boost pads.
The boost pads. Like, I don't ever remember any game before that having boost pads.
With the audio. Yeah.
I mean, there's totally like, Mario Kart doing that now or whatever, but like back then, I don't remember having boost pads like that.
Yeah, that was from the beginning. You're nominally driving at this speed, but when you hit that boost pad, you're really flying.
And then it was kind of the polygon graphics, kind of like
it would turn vector or something when you go like so fast.
iRobot.
Yeah.
Your ship would turn to vector. Your craft would turn to vector. And the idea in driving is that if you followed the correct line, that was what controlled your speed. If you were on the flat, you did not want to hit the side. If you were in the tunnel, when you went into a left turn, you want to be up on the right side. When you went into a right turn, you want to be up on the left side. Mm-hmm. And so you could max, and that's why on the first level, there were all those stars to show you what the correct line would be.
Yeah.
To teach you how to get
Can't see the line, can you, Russ?
I'm sorry?
The sound effect.
The sound bite.
Can't see the line, can you, Russ?
No.
On vacation. Sound effects guy here.
I've been very disciplined.
Yeah, you've been really. Well, that's the first one all night.
Extraordinary. Owen said it reminds us of Tunnel Hunt, Tube Chase.
Yeah, well, that Owen was. I think Owen had some comment about that Stun Runner was the game he was trying to do when he did Tunnel Hunt, Vertigo, which became Vertigo. He didn't have the hardware though.
Yeah, and I noticed Stun Runner runs way at a faster frames per second rate compared to something like hard driving or race driving. So, was that like a reprogrammed version of that? No,
it was cleverly chosen graphics and stuff because I was committed to keep the frame rate up. That was the bottom line for me.
Because it doesn't chug or anything.
Hard driving was committed to an accurate driving model. I was committed to, in-your-face graphics and keep the frame rate up.
Okay. Any sacrifices that happened while you were programming it that you wish you could have done you couldn't at that time, or
there's always sacrifices. I mean, back in the arcade, the early arcade games, you were always at the limit of your hardware, or I think that's probably true until they started putting computers into the games. Any game that was like ROM based on a circuit board, the programmers were trying to push whatever resources they had, whether it was memory, audio. You were just trying to get the most out of it you could.
Yeah, to us, we find it charming though, because we've played games like Skydiver, which is super basic graphics, but what a fun freaking game that is.
It was
if you've ever played one,
yeah.
Don't judge it till you've played it, because it's a blast.
Makes you laugh too.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's great. We've had it in our tournament like 2 or 3 times, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people love it, and people want to buy one after they play it. And
there's like 6 or 7 known to exist.
Yeah, I think Nick just sold his too.
What's that?
I think Nick sold his.
Did he really?
I think he did.
I'm surprised if he did.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. And his kit car.
Yeah.
There's a few people calling their love for Hat Trick.
Love Hat Trick.
Oh, Hat Trick.
Love it.
We didn't talk about that yet.
Played it as a kid. My kids loved it, and we played it in MAME. I would love to have one.
Have you seen a 4-player Hat Trick anywhere?
I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, there are some 4-player hat tricks out there. Maybe they're not anymore, but
I
that
saw
was
one like
play
on our
that.
forum. That was it.
The 4-player hat trick was awesome. Where I can't remember if the 2-player had if you check the guy hard enough, he'd give up the puck. That was great in 4-player hat trick because building up some speed and checking someone to get him to release the puck was just like an in-your-face move to that was great. Lee Actor was the programmer on that. I probably did some code somewhere for it, which is why I'm in the credits, but I won't take credit for that game. That was Lee Actor all the way.
It's so simple, but it plays really well. It's just like, you know what to do.
Yeah.
It's hockey. You break at the puck, go to, it's fun.
You know what was never recreated after that I ever saw was just scratching the ice while you're skating around. They don't.
And then the Zamboni.
And the Zamboni that clears it.
Path.
Yeah.
I see. They come out and clean up your mess.
Yeah.
Is that playing, Andrew?
Screenshot or looks like
it started to play and then froze.
Huh. Let's see.
And Andrew crashed out.
Let's try that again.
It looks like Night Flyer on IRC said that they had a 4-player hat trick at one of the arcades.
This is a cocktail too, I think. Wasn't it like, I don't know, stand-up cocktails, was it?
Oh, cool.
The 4-player, yes, was a stand-up cocktail.
Yeah.
I remember playing this a lot. It was a fun 2-player game. I didn't play it against computer. The computer pissed me off too much. It was fun. It was fun to play with friends though, and that you just move up and down for the goalie. That was cool.
And I've seen there's midway conversion kits for this, so it doesn't. You can put it in a midway cabinet, so it's not as big.
It was one of those Sente sax system, right?
One of the early SAC games. Lee Actor's second game. Lee Actor's first game was Snake Pit, and then he did some fantastic work. And now Lee Actor is known as a classical composer. If you go, you can find lots of symphonies and concertos that Lee Actor has written, and you get famous orchestras playing that stuff. He's an amazing guy.
Awesome. So I think we did miss a couple. We only covered them briefly. The Goalie Ghost, you said that was that the first game or not with Sente?
No, that's just a throw-in that I did when we were trying to crank out a lot of different games to fill up our catalog.
Okay. And then Gridley, you said that was for Gottlieb?
Yeah, we did Gridley. That was the first game that that Vidya, which was the precursor to Bally Sente, did was Gridley for Gottlieb.
So Vidya was kind of like an open, like bidding whatever company wanted to purchase the software. Is that what it was basically?
We were an independent arcade game developer.
Okay.
There weren't many of us.
So Gottlieb took a bite on that one, or they bit. Yeah. And then like it looks like your next step, you kind of went to Bally Sente.
Well,
basically
they merged, right?
Vidya was purchased by Pizza Time Theater and Nolan Bushnell. He wanted to get back into video games. His non-compete had run out, so he purchased our little company Vidya, and we became Bally Sente.
Wow, awesome. Okay.
We became Sente at that point, and then when Pizza Time went bankrupt, Bally bought the arcade division out of Sente, the Sente arcade division out of Pizza Time bankruptcy.
I see.
So we became a division of Bally.
Wow.
And I don't know. I've been to this the Fun Spot Arcade. It's in Laconia, New Hampshire. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all. But one of our friends actually made a substantial donation to Fun Spot because it's they have a ACAM, the American Classic Arcade Museum, a nonprofit on one floor, but they have an amazing Bally Sente collection. And it was funny because my friend made a donation. They have his plaque because they made a whole display for Bally Sente. And my friend, he's like, "Oh, here's my plaque." I go, "Do you even know what Bally Sente is?" He goes, "No." Well, the games are really good. but they have a beautiful Battlezone collection and articles, framed and stuff. And Leo, our friend Leo's got a nice plaque, but they've got, Hat Trick, Chicken Chef, Snacks and Jack, mini golf. It's a beautiful. I don't know how many Battlezone they made, but they got a lot of them. Stalker, the Night Stalker. Yeah, they got Stalker, Night Stalker. Yeah, they have both. Yeah, and I just played Stalker in October. And it was the first time since I was a little kid. I'm like, oh man, I remember this game. And then, but I played mini golf and I played Hat Trick, and those were the big ones when I was younger that I remembered. But they have a great Battlezone display at Laconia, New Hampshire.
Cool. We did some strange games too. Did you ever see Snacks and Jackson?
Yeah,
they have that there.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
They have it there. Yes.
It's like a hand slapping stuff or whatever, right?
I should have played it, but yeah, the big head.
Yep.
Yeah, the clown that eats.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's right.
Clown fires his nose up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such a weird game. And you eat peppers and your head's bouncing around and everything's bouncing. I was noticed that Gridley. I've never seen a Gridley before ever in arcades.
I don't recall it. I've heard the name. I think I've seen pictures, but
it's like a perspective shooting game.
Yeah,
it's hard.
We were trying to cash in a little bit on the cuteness of Hubert, and so that was some of the justification for the design of the Gridley character.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, being able to line up perspective enemies coming in at you is not an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that game didn't do real well.
Yeah,
I wish
it
they
looks
could
hard.
all be hits, but they're not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course. I posted a link if anybody wants to check that out.
What was your favorite game that you ever worked on? Like, if you like, God, I really like this. I'm proud of this one. Money or not, whatever was a hit or not a hit. Like, I really like this. This is my favorite out of all the ones I did. Do you have one or no?
Yeah, this is my crowning achievement.
I kind of have two that kind of sandwich my entire career. Battlezone on the front end for a lot of different reasons. And then the game, another game, I've had way too many games that just didn't, there's a couple of them. I mean, one game I did for 3DO, which was supposed to be one of the launch titles of the M2, never got released because M2 never got released. And then for the last company I was in with Owen and Ed Log and a bunch of other, the Atari greats, I did a game called Draconis Rex, which never got released. It was for smartphones and tablets.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
I can probably show you a little video from there.
That'd be cool.
Hang on. I gotta.
Those would have been for like mobile, like phones and stuff.
It's for mobile. It was a game that was a simultaneous turn-based game, so there was no latency issues, and it was a dragon fighting game. I don't know. I'm just gonna guess at one of these here. Let's see. I got a bunch of vids. They may not be any good. Now let's see. I have to share my screen somehow. Let's see if I can do that.
Yep, should be like in the bottom middle.
Yeah, share screen.
Big green button.
Let's see. How do I find the screen that I want to share?
That's always the trick when you have a whole bunch of windows open.
Like finding the needle in the haystack.
Yeah, hang on. It's a QuickTime thing. I don't know how to find this. Let's see. Scroll. Find unknown. Mail unknown. Find. This is not easy here. Device, desktop.
What was the reason it didn't make it to market?
There's a lot of reasons. Some of them political. and it was right before the company went under. So, oh gosh, wish I could figure out how to get this to show up.
You have the. Are you watching it on
presents me
YouTube
with
or?
a bunch of screens.
It's on QuickTime, so it's on his desktop. You can't share the link.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. All right. So if I click this, does anything show up?
Not yet.
Well, do you need to allow me to share a screen?
Nope, you should have permission.
Desktop 1, desktop 2. Allow Zoom to share your screen. Hold on, I gotta allow this.
Oh, yeah, that could be it.
Okay. I have to quit and come back if I'm going to do this. So
it's doing
let me
that
quit and come
restriction
back to
thing
Zoom.
again.
Yeah.
We've had that issue come up sometimes.
Ed, what are you
I'll be
drinking?
right back.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll be back with your answer.
Yeah.
I gotta pee. I don't know if I have enough time. You might be back in 2 seconds.
Run.
Push.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh no,
Oh,
he's back.
too
All
late.
right, there we go.
All right, let's see if I can do this now.
All you had to do is quit the app, not reboot. We were expecting it to take like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just rebooted the app.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Now I can do it. Share this.
Yep,
Yes.
there you go.
There we go.
Yeah, I can see
All right.
it.
Got it.
I don't know what this is going to be. I got a bunch of these little captures here. It's basically a game where, here we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. It's gorgeous.
That is gorgeous.
That's cool.
Whoa,
Shoota.
the dragon game.
Yeah.
Like
So you do a
So,
move and you get an animation.
Huh.
The idea is that you've got different kinds of moves
The
you can
laughter.
make, and you're playing on this hex grid. Let me start this again, and I'll just pause it here. You're starting on this hex grid, and you can see this is one of the moves a dragon can make, and he'll have a heading, a potential heading. You've got where you can move is either green or yellow. Where your opponent can move is either red or yellow, and the various headings that you can have. And you can only fire most potently when you're directly at another dragon. There's different kinds of dragons with different kinds of abilities. It's a pretty cool game. I just wish, I love this game, and unfortunately, never went to market.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. Ed, I'm seeing kind of a dragon theme in some of your stuff. I'm hearing sci-fi. I'm just going way out on a limb and thinking you're a bit of a sci-fi geek.
Um,
Yeah, his
Can I
favorite
type
movies are
the
Pete's
URL?
Dragon, Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
I'm a big time science fiction fantasy buff. I collect books, including my first edition signed copy of Ready Player One by Ernie Klein.
oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I love that book.
Fun one. That's an awesome
Yeah.
book.
Better than the movie.
Ed, where are you from? Because you don't talk like you're you're a native Californian.
I'm a Chicago boy.
Ah, nice. That's my mom's from Chicago. That's where a lot of my
So
maternal side.
I'm a Cub fan, for better or for worse.
Well, you don't have any choice.
He
Yeah,
likes
my
all
mom grew-
John Hughes movies.
my mom, so we'll just ignore them for a minute. My mom's grew up just down the street from Wrigley Field, so close. In fact, I guess when they did some expansion at some point, there was like an eminent domain thing, and they
Yeah.
took over the old house where my mom grew up, and they had to
Aw.
move, so, and she was little, and they had to move to a different house, actually the house where my grandmother, what I knew of as the family home. But yeah, my mom still talks about like on game days being like, her parents wouldn't want her, you have to stay in the house because it was like just a couple doors down.
Yeah, my wife and I are both total baseball buffs. We go to spring training every year. When I was in high school, our baseball team that I played on took third in state, and all the players got season's tickets to the next year of the Chicago Cubs. General admission, and they weren't such a big thing back then. So the second half of my senior year, after I'd already been accepted to college, whenever the Cubs were in town, I was cutting school and out down at the ballpark.
That's awesome. So what brought you to California?
Atari.
Oh, it was. Okay.
And my first game for Atari was baseball, Atari baseball, done on the same
Nice.
cabinet as the old Atari football. So,
so how did you get your job with Atari? Like, what?
Yeah, did they recruit you, or did you seek them?
I'm sorry?
Did they recruit you, or did you seek out Atari?
Well, I'll tell you. I was working at the time for GD Serum Pharmaceuticals. I was interfacing lab equipments to the then brand new microcomputers that were being made. And in my spare time, I was programming games on the Sigma 7 data acquisition system. For those of you who are big time computer buffs, this is an old one. Xerox made computers back in the day. Xerox Sigma 7.
I remember.
So I was working there, and one of the gals I worked with said, she was like playing on the games that I made and stuff like that, and she brought in an industry publication in the day called InfoWorld.
I remember InfoWorld. Yeah.
Yep.
And there was an ad for Atari, for programmers for Atari, and she said, "This job's for you." And on a flyer, I sent in an application. So that's how I started.
Nice.
Awesome.
And then they gave me the job, which was the strange part.
Did you have to audition in any way? I mean, was it just a talking interview, or did you show a portfolio?
The most thorough job interview I've ever had. I got a call from a gentleman named Steve Kelfy, who was the head of software at that time at Atari. And he spent about an hour on the phone with me. Just asked me questions. What are you doing? What have you done? What do you think about games? That kind of stuff. And then I didn't hear anything back. And about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, I get a call saying, "Can you, come on such and such a date to O'Hare Airport to meet Steve Kelfy and interview with him?" So, I dress up in a suit and tie, and, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go interview for this job at Atari. Had no idea what working at Atari was like. And so he's at this hotel at the airport. And so I go up and got the room number, knock on the door, and he opens it up. And here he is in a bandline shirt and blue jeans, and I'm in this suit and tie. And I think what got me the job is the first thing I did is I walked in and I said, "Thank God." And I took off the tie, took off the jacket, threw it on the desk.
Nice.
California striptease.
Yeah.
So baseball, was that were those track balls to do that, or was that
those were the old big track balls?
Yeah, like on Missile Command, the big 4-inch track balls,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Yeah. Crazy.
Those things had some momentum when they get going.
I don't know if I've seen I know I've seen basketball and football.
They only made 300 of them.
Okay.
You guys know who Dale Luck is?
Oh yeah.
Dale's got my prototype. And
oh wow.
I don't know if he's got this part working. We actually did, back before even Sinistar came out, we did the first in-game human voice synthesis. It said 4 words. It's 4 phrases. Ball strike, you're safe, and you're out. And
Nice.
Dan Pliskin, who was a hardware engineer at the time, did the hardware for that. That was a fun thing.
That wasn't with samples or anything like that, right? That was.
Yeah, it was sampled, pulse code modulated. It was really not a real complex circuit. We were just running, bit samples through the D-Day.
The reason I asked is that the memory for that kind of thing was kind of expensive back then, right? So
that's
you
why
had
it
to be
never
very
shipped.
judicious. Yeah.
That's why it never made it out of the prototype phase.
Okay. Too expensive to make. Just because you put
We
some words in there.
experimented with a lot of cool things back in the day that never made it. I remember when I was working on Battlezone, we actually tried to do a stereoscopic 3D display back in the day, in the early days. And the way we did it was really bizarre. we had, you know, a periscope hooked up to the Battlezone, and we had a shutter in front of it that would let one eye see and another eye see. And there was an optical device that would let us know when each eye was open, and we displayed the appropriate view for that. Of course, it cut our frame rate, which was nice in Battlezone, cut it in half. And so it was making people sick all over the place.
Yeah,
and
give you a headache. We had similar for.
That was a production nightmare. So, you know, we played with a lot of crap back in the day.
Yeah. That's neat though, that you get to, like, you know, try things out and see what works and see what you can do. And yeah, that's pretty cool. I love that.
That's the earliest I've ever heard of that, because
I didn't know that. Yeah.
and SGI, Silicon Graphics, had a bunch of 3D visualization stuff, and it had a set of those goggles, and same problem. You had to cut your refresh rate in half on the monitor, and it would be like LCDs blinking.
Yeah, and if your field of view was moving fast, it would make people sick.
Well, like Vectrex has the that headset for 3D. Remember? There's like a handful of games for the home system Vectrex that had 3D goggles. You guys don't know about that?
No.
Gary, you don't know about that?
I've heard of that, but I've never experienced it.
Yeah,
like I've read about that.
The goggles you wear has a giant disc inside them, and it spins in your goggles, and it's doing what Ed talked about, where it alternates. So it has like a roller coaster game, like a racing game, and sort of I think a Donkey Kong-ish game called Spike. So I think there's a handful of games that are in 3D for the Vectrex. So, but good luck finding those goggles. They're tough.
Yeah, that's kind of the context that I heard about them was.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
Yeah, good luck with
that. But they did do it. I don't know how bad the frame rate is, but you know, that's a few years after Battlezone, so maybe they're able to up the frame rate. So I don't know, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Ed, you mentioned Sinistar. Did you work on that? Or
No. That's an RJ Michael thing, I think. If you know who RJ is. Yeah, no, that goes way back. But no, I saw it, you know, I mean, obviously I played the game and saw the game. But no, that was I can't remember. It wasn't Atari. So it wasn't me.
It was a Williams.
Williams, yeah.
I posted in the IRC, Carrie, if you want to see what that the Vectrex goggles look like.
Oh, nice.
There's a little review on them.
So mini golf, I actually have that game on my machine also.
That's a Dennis Coble.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dennis Coble is? And this is not really an art. He originally came from the arcade group, and then when Atari, you know, started doing the home cartridge games, the VCS, the 2600 games, he was the software manager. But he did some early arcade games like, and chime in and tell us.
He's in the RC.
He's an old, I still keep in touch with Dennis. He worked with us here up at our little group that we created up in the Sierra foothills where I live now, with Rich Adam, who worked on Tempest and was the programmer on Gravatar. I don't know if you guys remember Gravatar.
Oh yeah. Gravatar was awesome.
He's the guy when we moved up here, we started a couple of companies up here and did some cool things. So yeah, I've worked with Rich forever.
Awesome. Yeah, so that game though, I didn't even realize, like, I got it from a friend, the machine, and everything's all working perfect as far as I could tell. I brought it to California Extreme, and somebody who's like really good at playing it got a hold of me, and he's like, "Hey, your trackball isn't wired correctly." I guess because like not until the maybe 5th or 6th level, you actually have to go. Maybe it's down with the trackball, but the rest of the gameplay. The first 3 or 4 or 5 levels, you only have to go up or right or left. You don't have to go down at all. But if you try to go down, it was doing the opposite. Like both down and up would make the trackball go up, or the ball go up. But yeah, that's a super fun game though, for sure.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Like I enjoy that way more than like Golden Tee, you know, like I want to see the whole track and just kind of like, you know, more simplified. Yeah.
That was a fun game.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about shoes.
You mentioned Dale Luck earlier, and he has the Battlezone collection. I think he sought out to try to collect every game, and I don't know if he ever did that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, I know Dale Luck from 3DO. I don't really know him from the arcade stuff.
Right.
That was like after the fact, but he worked at 3DO when I worked at 3DO. So
I had a 3DO system, and I was waiting for that damn M3 2 or whatever it was to come out because I read the articles. I was so excited about it. I watched the demos on it, and I was so pissed that it never came out. It just because it looked like it was awesome. So for people that don't know, it was an expansion port for the 3DO, if I believe they were going to do that.
It was a standalone console.
It was? Because that's not what the article said.
Well, there was originally talk about doing something that would plug in, you know, that you could plug in the old 3DO so that you could still play the old games. But
that's what they said.
That never got built, to my knowledge.
Yeah. But I find on YouTube, I found the video demo that was playing at CES, I believe it was, to show off what it could do. And the 3D polygons that it could push and everything were way advanced compared to everything else that I'd ever seen. That was really neat. And I was just so sad that it just never made it.
That's it. Not making it is why I left 3DO.
Oh man.
The game that I did for that, you can probably find it on YouTube. I know it's there. There's some video of it called
Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
I'm sorry?
Was it Plumbers Don't Wear Ties?
No, World Championship Racing. It was a racing
I'm
game.
just joking. I don't know if you've heard of that game for the 3DO.
No.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Is that like your Wonder Boy game?
It's really, it's really bad.
So
it's a choose your own adventure
up
game.
In the IRC, he said something about Sprint, Dominoes, and Avalanche.
There you go. Those are Dennis Coble games.
Okay.
It's Dennis. Oh.
And one of my favorite games of all time is Super Sprint, which is like, you know, the grandson of Sprint, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. No. He also did games he was part of the group that went to a Magic when a Magic started up. If you remember that. They were first you had Activision, then there was a Magic.
Demon Attack, right?
I had Intellivision, so Magic games on there. Yeah. Like Dracula.
What did you do at 3DO when you were there, Ed, at 3DO?
I started out. They hired me on to do some liaison work between the hardware group and some external developers, and I ended up taking over, first of all, the software group of the studio. I was in charge of all the programmers for a while when they were doing the first batch of the studio games. And then they reorganized the studio, and it was reorganized into teams. And so I was a team leader. Basically I did an edutainment game. They wanted something in the edutainment field. So I did an edutainment game for the 3DO, and then I did the M2 Racing, which was supposed to be a launch title for the M2. That never happened. There's a fun story about that when we were trying to sell the hardware to Matsushita, who was going to make the game. We were over in Japan, and we did a presentation to what's his name? Pac-Man. No. I mean, I'm sorry, Mario. Who's the designer of Mario? I'm blanking on his name.
Miyamoto or
Miyamoto.
Miyamoto. That's it.
Miyamoto-san.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
So he's in this room, and I know who Miyamoto-san is. I figured he's got no clue who the heck I am, and I'm demoing this racing game called, World Championship Racing, and and he's asking all kinds of questions, and they're being translated, and I'm answering, and I'm like being ultra deferential. This is Miyamoto. And then afterwards he comes up and starts talking to me in English and going, "Oh, I really like Battlezone and the stuff."
Like,
Oh,
geez.
wow.
What are we doing here?
I figured he had no clue who I was.
Oh, that's really cool though. Even yeah.
That's awesome.
That was neat to meet him. He's a very impressive guy.
Was Battlezone a hit in Japan? I don't even know. I mean, was that also something that shipped to Japan that was really well received?
I don't know, all the places they shipped it to. I'm pretty sure there were some shipped to Japan. I know they were shipped to Europe.
Okay.
All over the place.
Oh, very cool. That is a cool story though. That's neat that he even knew your game and everything, knew who you were. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was I was quite honored and flabbergasted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's something else.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
So we got Bob Flanagan asking about how about some nitty gritty details about the brainstorming occurrences after work hours.
Oh, Bob. Oh, God.
This is what happens when you tell people you're going to be on our show. You're going to get
brainstorming sessions.
Put you on the spot.
Could get pretty rowdy. I can relate some stories. There was one, and I was not at this brainstorming session.
Multiple deniability.
All right, this is a sort of an Atari arcade lore. The head of the hardware group for a while was a guy named Dave Steuben, who was a big guy. He played football on the line for Santa Clara. Just a huge guy. He would like do stress testing of our arcade games too. He'd come in there and kick a controller off and go, "That's not strong enough," and stuff like that. Just this.
What a fun job that'd be.
Yeah. And at the brainstorming session at Pebble Beach, apparently he got pretty hammered one night, and his roommate locked him out of the room, and he decided, "Screw this," and he just knocked down the whole door. The door jammed, the frame, everything, just crunched it through. So that was one of the fun stories.
Hulk smash.
We had a lot of fun at the
Hulk
brainstorming
smash.
session.
Drunk smash.
So yeah, there were interesting things that happened at the brainstorming sessions. They were a lot of fun, and they were productive. They were very productive. Atari was good about letting people, get in the mood to be creative.
So let's say someone worked in packaging or something, and they come up with a great idea, and you guys run with it. Would they get any kind of bonus or anything like that out of it, or was just bragging rights that, "Oh, my game got made," kind of thing?
Honestly, back in the day, to my knowledge, they did not get anything.
Yeah, like you
Sounds
were
like the
saying,
American way.
the stun runner, the woman that worked in a different department, right?
Yeah.
You said she kind of came up with the concept.
Yeah, she submitted the original concept.
And it was like,
Give
did she
them,
get
like,
anything out of the deal?
Give them
Oh,
a
here you
McDonald's
go.
coupon or
Here's a
something.
turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanks.
There were general bonuses that went out to everybody, I believe, but
Here's the
game-related
McDonald's bucks.
bonuses. I may have actually cut her some. I don't recall. Honestly.
Yeah.
At least get credit in the game credits, the design credit.
Yeah, the early games we weren't allowed to put our names on.
Gotta sneak them in.
That was a huge stinking point, right?
Smithsonian Magazine at one time sent a guy, Michael Treitman, who was one of their writers, out to do an article about Atari. And he, there's an article you can go back and find. I can't remember the year. And you'll see early pictures of Owen and me. This was before Bob Flanagan's time. Donna Bailey's in them, other people, but Dave Toyer. But he was not allowed to use any of our names. So Back in the day, we were commodities to be protected. We were like trade secrets. We were, we could put our initials in the initial high score table, and that was about it.
Yeah, like with Crystal Castles, where the castle has the initials in it. And
yeah.
Yeah,
we could sneak Easter eggs in, but only if they didn't see us. Only if they didn't catch them beforehand.
Yeah, the people get in trouble for that. I remember reading stories about the guy who did the one for Adventure for Atari. That they were pissed. I mean, they had to do a lot of crap to do it. I remember my friend showed me. Talk about stuff pre-internet. Like I remember riding on the bus with my friend who had an Atari. I didn't have an Atari, and he goes, "Oh, everyone's talking about this thing you can do in a adventure where you can see these initials of the guy that made the game." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you got to do all this shit to do it, but you can do it, And he showed it. I went over to his house and he showed me. I'm like, first you got to get the bridge, and you got to go over here, and then this dot that's the same color as the background's over here.
So how good did he feel when he saw Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, that was
right.
Ready Player One, which is actually
that was cool that it was in the movie because I knew what they were talking about in the movie, but a lot of people didn't. The first Easter egg, I guess they called it, right?
Yeah.
That might be the first Easter egg. It probably is.
No, I think it is basically the first Easter egg of a commercially viable game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was an illegal Easter egg too. I mean,
Oh yeah, they didn't want us to do any of that.
That was the frustration of the programmers going, "Well, screw you! I want to put my name in." I remember that was something that David Crane was pissed about when he made Pitfall, that he wanted to make sure his name, I think it even says David Crane's Pitfall.
Oh yeah.
This is my game.
Do you blame him though, right?
No.
Right.
Well, I still nobody see David on occasion.
No one came forward to say, "I made Custard's Revenge."
That you know of.
People out there who know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that that's what they had to do. I know if I was a programmer, I'd want to sneak my game in there. It's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once the game's pressed and on shelves, there's not much Atari could do.
It's out there.
Recall it, really.
Just gotta sneak it out.
Yeah. So,
David Crane did Chopper Command. Nice. That was a great game.
Oh,
he also did Ghostbusters.
Who did? I wonder who did Keystone Capers. That's like one of my top 5 games on Atari.
Yeah, that's a good one.
26.
That is a good game.
The Activision crew. Yeah.
That's a game that I would love to have seen an actual port to the arcade.
Yeah.
You're making a cabinet. That's something like Wyo could make.
Wyo would do, yeah.
Yeah.
When he was talking about that, I was like, ooh, I was thinking
that would be a good arcade stand-up to do. Yeah. That's fun,
Because there's some really cool artwork with cops and robbers, because that's the whole game.
I could bake it all for you for free, spend
oh, totally
4 months on it.
And 3 copies will get printed, maybe.
Nobody will make them.
That's right.
Well, we're talking about inside stuff here, Ed.
I have the prototype print out it on paper. That's gonna be worth a fortune here at some point.
Ed, do you remember a game in the arcades called Toki? It was an ape that could spit fire.
It was by TAD, TAD.
Yeah,
it was a weird one.
It's a platformer. It's weird. You're a man who gets his woman stolen, and you got to save her. And it's a platformer, side view, kind of like Mario. And you're turned into a monkey that can spit fireballs out of his mouth. And very difficult game, but it never got a. Yeah, so I helped Jim out with taking some of the graphics and stuff and making them.
Adding some art that was never made. Yeah,
they had a marquee and side art, but they never made a bezel that goes around your monitor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or a control panel overlay.
I worked on the bezel.
Yeah, it's just a generic overlay.
What's your favorite? This is a good question. What's your favorite bezel art from the arcade of all the games? I mean, I'd like
Scramble.
Everyone's gonna say Scramble.
Yeah.
Scramble.
Yeah, I like the phallic symbol in the bottom right corner. You know what I'm talking about, Ed? The crazy art in Scramble. How weird.
I remember the bezel. Yeah, it was wild.
There's
But I
a
don't
female
remember the
holding
phallic
a
symbol.
a microphone or something. Is that what it's supposed to be? I don't know.
I thought
doesn't
it was a
look like-
pipe.
Okay,
smoke.
whatever. It's
But-
phallic looking. Yeah,
Maybe it's
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
in her hand there.
The flute.
Yeah, so just mildly suggestive.
Mildly.
Mild. Kind of reminds you of the pillow.
That's a good question. Bezel art. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've asked that one before.
Yeah.
My favorite is got to be Warrior.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's gorgeous.
That's
What does that
awesome.
look like? I don't remember.
It's
That was the top-down vector game, Tim Skelly.
yeah, black and white.
Oh,
Yep.
the one
Yeah.
that Carrie was shaking the
Yeah,
crap out
That's
of.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't
I'm
even want-
champion at. Woohoo!
I don't want to get near her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
play it kind of like what is that game where you have to try to shove
Panic
each other?
Park or
Panic
whatever.
Oh,
Park. Yeah, I
yes.
kind of play it that way. I take a strong stance, and yeah, I play enthusiastically.
I always love that art.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's
cool.
I
gorgeous.
just thought it
Mhm.
worked really well with the game. I think they used they missed a bet on that controller. I would have loved to seen them use a joystick, but have a sword handle mounted on the end of it, so you were actually holding a sword handle, which the heel of the sword of the pommel just was connected to, pointing at the screen, connected to the joystick. Instead of running the joystick around, you would be holding the sword now, or this handle.
Oh yeah.
I just thought they missed a bet with that. Nah, probably
Like,
would
Could
have.
have done
what
that
is
with
it?
Skull and Crossbones.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's the game Monkey Ball where it's like a banana?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're holding a banana.
Banana
Yeah.
joystick.
Yeah.
And then
I
there's
won't even get in
Super
a
Monkey
bunga
Ball.
bunga.
Bob had a question. Is there an Easter egg in Blasteroids?
In Blad, yes, there is. It's actually an Easter egg that shows up before you put any money into it. It will not work on free play. So if you're playing one, you got to take it out of free play to do it. And then I think you hold down all the buttons on the left player side and you spin the wheel counterclockwise on the right player side when you're on the credit screen. And then instead of saying, the name of all the people and, our position, it changes to like Gabe's dad and Becca's dad and, that
That's
kind of
cute.
stuff. We just put our kids' names in the game.
Oh,
That's very cute.
Oh, that's
funny.
awesome.
that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one
but-
most people don't find because it's not part of the game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Here's a question. How about your other games that you created in the arcade? Do they all have some sort of Easter egg of some sort like that, or just a few that you know of?
I'd have to take them on an individual basis. I wasn't a huge Easter egg guy. There was an Easter egg in a limited, let me call it a limited version of Stun Runner, because we would not release that. It was actually an accident that happened when we were putting it together. Have you guys ever played to the end of Stun Runner?
Oh, yeah.
I've watched it on YouTube. I'm not that
I've
good.
never managed to finish it.
There's
That thing
There's
ate
two
my
endings.
quarters. Oh.
There's two endings. If you can put your name on the high score table, which is the drive-through high score table, which I never saw in any other game. I thought that was pretty cool. If you get further than anyone else, you put your name, or further, at least in the top 10, you put your name where on the track you finished, because that's on the final level. That's how it
Oh.
works. It's how far you can get. That's where the game ends.
Oh, I was
So,
wondering about that because
you
I
drive
have
by
watched
it-
that.
If you get past those games,
You see it fly by.
You see the names you're beating fly
Mhm.
by.
I was
over
wondering what that was.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
That's
Because
right.
that's in
I
the
forgot
that's
about
in the
that.
YouTube video where I
And
saw these
then
letters
if you
going
do
by. I'm like,
that-
what is that?
If you do that, after you finish, the gal comes off. This gal comes over from the side of the screen, walks over, hops on the back of the cycle with you, and you ride off. If you
Oh.
make it to the last level, but you don't get on the high score table, she'll come over and kiss you on the cheek.
Mm.
Well, the first time
All you get.
he did Andy Burgess did this part of the ending sequence here, and the first time he had the position off but he had the kissing sound in, and she was kissing the wrong part of his anatomy. I'll just leave it at that.
Whoops.
And so
That's what I call a prize.
there was something you could do to get that to come up, and if you didn't make it the high score table, but you made it to the last level, but it was only like
The old Wonder Boy
2 or 3
scene.
rounds of it. Could be around somewhere.
Yeah, I
Not
remember
Wonder Boy, Lover Boy.
when the game
Or
launched.
Lover Boy, sorry.
So
Yes.
I would recommend you find Andy Burgess, who's living out in Montana somewhere now, and tell him to make a copy of his ROMs, and that's the only way you can get that.
Oh, how funny.
Awesome.
Well, I remember when the
Is that
game
on
launched
MAME?
in the arcade that
Not
if you
MAME.
got to the end, if you got to the end of the game, and you did it by a certain date, you could get a free T-shirt. And I remember
That was that game, yeah.
those T-shirts.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. That was that game.
There were
Mhm.
there
Yep.
were Stun Runner T-shirts given out for that. It was a T-shirt contest, and there was actually a operator switch where you could turn that off.
I love that
The t-shirt.
advertisement on Carrie's got it on her clacks.
Mhm.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It's charming. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the 90s. It's time to
Yeah.
relax with the
Yeah.
you can get the t-shirt. Yeah, it's awesome. Why would you ever turn
Mhm.
that off? Yeah.
Flax was a cool game.
Tubin had one of those too, I believe.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that.
Ruben,
Yeah.
Dennis Harper.
Yeah, Road Blasters had it as well because I know my brother actually it was
Oh
like
yeah.
beating the 50th rally in Road Blasters, and he spent I don't know how much money trying to do that, but it was like I don't know, probably 90, 91. So the promotion was long over, but the operator had not changed the dip switch settings. But yeah,
They
so
should've-
finally he did that. He took a picture of it. And
Yeah.
he was like keeping his camera like next to him in the arcade and took a picture of it and sent it in. And they're like, oh yeah, that promotion's long over.
Yeah, and they did like 4 years ago.
Dang. At some point, someone on, I think I've talked about this years ago, maybe Josh even when he was on at some point talked about it, but he, someone on Clav was asking people if they wanted to reproduce the Road Blaster shirt.
Yeah.
And so I was desperately trying to get enough people interested because I wanted to get to him for like Christmas or something.
Oh yeah.
Like finally he could have the shirt from 30 years ago that he earned and certainly paid for.
I love that a lot of those games
That'd be a
have
great
advertisements
gift,
like
though.
that for prizes stuff. I know Mortal Kombat, they had an advertisement for buying the soundtrack CD, or it was cassette tape or CD.
The Midway games would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, get Mortal Kombat CD, and they give you a .com address to order it or whatever.
Because
Back
that
when we
game
listened
was
to
like
CDs.
early 90s. Yeah.
93, 94.
I don't even have a CD player anymore. Do you guys?
I know, right?
I do.
It's like Mortal Kombat 11 now.
Yeah,
some
I
really-
don't even know.
Ed Boon has made a bunch of money on that game.
Oh my god, I know.
Good guy.
So
though.
hyper violent too.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So looking at there's like 2 more games on your list here. I see Spiker. Is that's like volleyball or something?
Yeah, I don't know why that's on my list. That was I had nothing to do with that game other than being the VP at that time, I think. But,
Okay.
that was actually like a volleyball game that's just not all that great, but it was Nolan's idea, and Nolan wanted us. He had this idea for a simple game, and so he outlined it, and he was Nolan, so we did it. So
Right.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And then the last one was Steel Talons.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that one.
Yeah.
That game, I worked with Ed Log on that game, and it's the only game we ever worked on together, and I think Ed Log is the finest. Sorry, Eugene Jarvis, if you're out there listening. Ed Log is the greatest American arcade game designer, period, in my opinion. That's what I'm gonna say about it. It was a fun game to work on. It was 2 linked boards, so there were 2 players, and they each were basically a hard driving. So you're talking about a lot of hardware at the time, or race driving.
bet.
And Ed did all the physics. It was like very cool physics for the helicopter, because it was not, we're just going to make this thing work. There was a collective and a throttle.
Yeah.
And Ed did some amazing stuff with that. We learned some really bizarre things that turned up. I don't know how much you guys know about programming, but this game presented some very weird programming problems.
What kind?
Largely because of the link game. That was the hardest part.
Concurrency issues.
Do you guys understand collision detect?
Yep.
I understand the concept. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand the concept of it.
So here is the idea. You see you're blowing up things on the ground there. And let's say one guy is about to fly through one of the buildings, and it's going to blow him up. And the other guy shoots it just as he's going through it. But because things they're happening on different processors, one guy sees the building blowing up before he hits it, but the guy who's flying through it doesn't see it. And so on one guy's machine, he's flying through it, but the other guy, he's blown up. And so you have just a lot of these just syncing problems that are just really hard to deal with.
Programming back then didn't really provide for a lot of those concurrency resolution issues. So
that's correct.
You guys had to invent all of that.
Yeah, this was like, we had a custom link up between the two boards and doing things as fast as we could. And but still you have these timing issues that you have to resolve, and things you don't think about when you're playing the game, but when you're just working on it, okay, now that's a real problem. So that was a very challenging game to work on, but it was fun too. I mean, Ed is remarkable. He's a remarkable guy. That's all I can say. If you ever get a chance to get him on, he's remarkable. That's all I can say. Think the world of him.
Get on it, Lewis.
You got one, Ed. Get another one.
Yeah, I get the other one.
No pressure.
So that game, it looks like you're mostly left and right, or is it going up and down too?
You guys, you basically have a collective and a joystick, and it flies like a helicopter. You get two modes. One where you can put it in where it's like assisted and makes it easy to fly. You don't have to worry about it. The other one is pretty darn good simulation. We even went down to Fort Ord and flew in one of their Black Hawk simulators, which is a full 3D motion thing done by Evans and Sutherland with infinity optics and multiple monitors. When we were researching this game, because we had one of their Top Gun helicopter pilots working with us on the game. So it was that part of, the physics edge was in, and it was like really good. So yeah, that was a very cool game. And actually he and I were on the cover of Replay Magazine or Play Meter, one of the two, back in the day for that game.
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah.
Ed, what is
the cover of a magazine?
Yeah.
Do we have that cover anywhere? Is it scanned on the internet?
Yeah, I didn't have Replay.
Scanned on the internet.
I think is that a UK magazine?
I'm sorry?
Was that a UK magazine or is that American?
No, that's the US. I don't remember whether it was Play Meter or Replay. I think I have one downstairs somewhere in an album, but it's not something I look at very often. But
it's fun. There was a question a long time ago about what are you drinking tonight?
Yeah.
Oh,
not focusing.
Yeah, you can't go too close. Is it focusing on that? That should.
It looks good, but no, it's fuzz.
It is Lagavulin 16.
Oh, nice. Ooh. Smoky and delicious.
Smoky. Isle of Islay.
Very nice. Excellent choice, sir.
That's my drink.
I know
choice.
Lagavulin.
It's been for, 20 years now, 30 years, something like that. Awesome. So, well, what are you guys drinking? Come on.
I had some rum and coke tonight.
There you go.
I got Hazer's Gotta Hate.
Oh, that's good.
He's pouring beer on his head. That's Belching Beaver in California. Yeah, I live in California.
Yeah, I've had that. That one's good.
That is good. That's really good. I got it. They had it at Trader Joe's. I'm like, what is that? And the guy that works there goes, "Oh, it's so good. Go get it. Just get it. Just get it."
Another one up here, Aladez.
Pink
Hot
Blades
Oh, Hot Pink
Hot
Blades.
Pink Blades.
by
Oh.
Alvarado Street and Highland Park. It's a collaboration. Yeah, because they got rollerblades on. Why not?
Highland
Does
Park
it
where?
taste like
It's
asphalt?
Northern
or-
California.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like,
Just
what is the
ass.
flavor of that? Just ass. Like, I'm thinking pink is like a berry.
Yeah, it's
it
like,
just
you
doesn't
know,
sound right.
it's like got sweat out of rollerblade boots. They put it into the yeast.
Little
That's where the yeast comes
WD-40.
from for the beer. Yeah.
Rollerblade.
Dave, I like your Bud Light neon. That looks good.
Oh, thank you. That was a gift from my good friend Donnie. I hooked him up with an arcade part, and then he's like, "I got something for you." He was buying some games, and the guy he kind of threw it in. And I'm like, "What gift is he talking? I got this gift for you." Then he pulled it. I'm like, "Dude," I almost gave him a kiss. I'm like, "Are you serious?" Oh, I love it.
But it's
old
COVID, so
school.
he couldn't. No.
Yeah. This is pre-COVID. I could have slapped him with a big one if they wanted. But I was like, dude, that's old school. Thanks. I mean, free's the best. Like, I love that. It's great. That's my my light right now. That and the games. It's the only light that's on here right now. Let's see if I
Your
shut
games.
it off.
It is illuminating.
Let's see
Marquis
if I
gave
shut
off
it
a
off
lot
and
of
see how
light.
dark I get.
So Ed, are you into pinball at all?
Mildly. I played pinball for a period, but I was never very good at it. There's some pinballs I like, some pinballs I didn't like, you know. So yeah. You're not going to get a lot of good stuff from me on pinball.
All right, skip that.
Well, I have a story. There's always a story.
You got a favorite?
Yeah, my first day at Atari. Atari actually did some pinballs back in the day.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Superman? Wait.
And
no.
That's the one I remember.
this is a story I absolutely should not tell.
Then you
Oh,
definitely
getting
need to tell
exclusive
it.
here,
Bring it.
folks. Ed's had enough drinks. He's telling us something.
Yeah, here we go.
Good.
No, it's a funny thing. My first day around, I'm wandering around looking at the labs, you know, because back when I started Atari, each there were like, I don't know, 6 labs, I think. And you know, there'd be like 2 games going on being developed in the lab, and one lab had some pinball games being developed. And I walked in there, and there was this incredible gal leaned over the pinball, making notes on the table on things on the artwork she wanted. And, you know, I'm sorry, my dad used to say position is everything in life. And that was a great introduction to Atari.
So funny you remember that. Like it was yesterday, he remembers it.
I remember that, yeah. A dirty old man story. I'm a dirty old man.
Well, you weren't then. You weren't then.
I was a young man then. I was a very young man.
So there's one other thing I saw on your
That's
list.
my pinball story.
There you go. Nice.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's
3
better
years
than
later,
most.
they got married. No. I'm just kidding.
So
Oh,
I
my
see
brother
on your
knew
list
who
here
it
you
was.
did a arcade's greatest hits collection for PlayStation.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
his Battlezone is in there. I'm wondering if that's why his name's on that.
That's why my name is on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I figured.
What's
Way
funny
to
is it
downplay it,
says
Mock.
it was made by
Sorry.
Midway Games.
A
Yeah.
realist.
Atari making Midway games.
Actually,
Talk about
I think they actually interviewed Ed Logg and Dave Toyer and I together, and included the video in there somewhere. I don't know. I don't have that video anywhere. So
So now those ones, they actually took basically emulated ROMs, right, of the arcade games and put it on the PlayStation.
I don't believe so. I don't know.
They
Probably
had an
MAME,
emulator actually,
Mhm.
but it wasn't MAME. It was just something that they came up with to be able to play I read an article about it, but yeah, it was basically a MAME style like emulator, but it wasn't MAME.
Okay.
Just so it can play those old arcade games. But they were running the ROM of it though, so it was as close as you could get for compared to in the past, before that those Midway collections came out. Anything you played on home market was usually a rebuild, of something trying to get close to it. But so that was actually, I remember when those came out on the PlayStation 1. Actually, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm playing Robotron. This is before MAME. You got to remember too. So I'm actually playing the Robotron that I remember, not a person's memory of what Robotron was like, and tried to rebuild it, for a system.
That's one of the greatest games of all time. It
It's
doesn't
one of my
matter,
favorites.
that it wasn't Atari. Eugene, that was just one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah, I own a Robotron. So does Gino. Has a few of them. How many Robotrons do you have now?
About a half a dozen in progress. I have a little.
He's
Making
trying to
an
collect
army
all
of
of them in the
Robotrons.
world. Yeah. Gino wants all the Robotrons to himself, so no one else can have one.
I don't think anyone would disagree with that statement there. That is one of the greatest. Who doesn't like Robotron? Everybody does.
Yeah.
Well, it's the perfect risk reward game, I think. And it has such awesome action, awesome sound effects. It's almost like what do they call that effect you have when you hear a sound that releases endorphins or something? There's something about when you pick up the people, it makes that cool sound effect, that joint, 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 joint. And then, you keep picking them up, and then your score doubles every time. It's like,
it's called Pavlovian.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that game is just, to me, it's just one of the most addicting. And it's not something you just sit and it doesn't just play forever either, unless you're super good at it, can marathon it. But that's just, to me, that's the perfect risk reward arcade game. I don't know. I just love it. So, right, Gino?
And you finally got one.
Yeah, I finally got one. I was looking at one for a long time, Ed. And on the show, I'd always talk about, I'm looking for one, and I'm trying to get one. And
looks like Bob posted a picture in the
one.
IRC, an old picture of you guys. I'm trying to.
Oh, which can you bring it up?
Andrew could. Oh, Andrew just stepped out.
I might have a very old picture somewhere here.
Andrew, and when he comes back, he post it.
That is a tiny picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is a tiny picture.
Control plus.
Oh, them mustaches, man.
Oh yeah, mustaches.
There we go. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
There we go.
I blew it
Oh, I can see it way
Wow.
bigger.
Now this
Better,
is from the Smithsonian Magazine. The gentleman in the suit is Lyle Raines, who is the head of engineering. The gal in the sweater is Donna Bailey, who is a professor in Arkansas at a university. She's half of the Centipede team with Ed Logg. The guy with the armadillo humping the Capitol building of Austin, Texas is me.
I knew it was you. I knew that was you.
Owen Rubin is sitting at the game there, and the guy behind him is a gentleman named Jeff Bosco, who never did anything for Atari of note, I don't recall. But Owen was playing his game.
You guys had your guys' mustaches were on point, though. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Dude, the mustaches. They're just awesome.
So 70s. I love
It was 70s, yeah.
I don't know how do I exit out of this? Stop share. Okay, there.
Stop sharing.
There we go. Back to normal. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Did you get to partake in the fun parties and all that stuff?
The crazy parties?
Yeah, was that during your time there? It probably was if you're doing Battlezone.
Yes,
and stuff.
there were, famous parties.
Yeah.
Lots of them.
That's fun. Can't have that kind of fun anymore. There's this thing they invented called HR that kind of puts a stop to that stuff.
You think?
You can't roll a doob while you're in a jacuzzi anymore. On site at noon.
Ed, I asked Owen this question. Was there like what years did you work for Atari?
Okay, my first stint at Atari was from January 79 through October 81.
From October 81. Okay. Was there any time
That's
in
the
that
first stint. I had a second stint.
You did two passes at it, right?
Yeah.
When was the second pass? Well, yeah, it was later.
Now I gotta think. I spent about 5 years with Nvidia and Sente, and then I spent about 4 years at Atari after that. So 5 years, 81, 80. It was probably 86 through. Well, actually, it was like 92 or 93. So it was a little longer.
Okay, so we're gonna make the time frame a little longer for you. What was there any years with Atari or Valley Sente, or like what year where you're like, this shit is really big, like wow, we are like this is blowing up like
It's a
crazy,
big
like
deal.
like was there like any either at Atari or when you went to Valley, like wow, dude, people are making like we are like, we are killing it with this. This is a crazy industry that we're in, right? Do you have any of that, or like 1 year, like wow, like they're like
Probably 79, 80.
Because it was
Or
going
80,
crazy.
81. One of those
Battlezone,
right
I'd
in
say.
there.
Right.
Because that's when that picture was taken. That's from it was big enough that the Smithsonian Magazine came out to do an article. The games were selling like hotcakes. It was the talk of the town. The Atari home game system had just recently come out.
Oh, that's right.
Going gangbusters. And Atari was at that point was on top of the world, and we didn't see what was coming, but at that point, it was just all roses, all coming up roses. So certainly, I would say between 79 and 81, yeah, that's
I guess
the reason why I decided to roll the dice, leave the company, and start something. With the two guys I left with, was because it was just so big at that point.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it was interesting because Atari changed a lot while I was there, and it probably changed even more for like Owen was there before me. And I'm just talking about my first go round at Atari, that January 79 through October of 81 period. It went from being an engineering driven company to a place where it was starting to become a marketing driven company. It was just a complete change that happened in that time period.
Another picture here for you.
This is Innovative Leisure. Did Owen voice this upon us here?
I can't see that right now. Who shared that? Because I zoomed in on it.
Okay, so this is Innovative Leisure. Seamus Blackley, who's a gentleman standing over Owen's right shoulder behind him. Dennis, no, that's Dennis Coble that you just.
Oh, the Zaxxon shirt.
That's James Blackley. He is the father of the Xbox. And
okay.
And I'm on the left there wearing the Stig T-shirt. If you guys are into Top Gear. And then the guy on the far right, Rich Adam, the three of us brainstormed that, maybe we should start a company with some of the old guard. And not pictured in this picture is Ed Logg and Tim Skelly. They were also part of this cabal. That is Van Burnham, if you guys read Supercade, standing in front of Seamus Blackley.
Right here, right?
Yeah, that's Van.
I met her a couple years ago.
She was married to Seamus at the time, and that's their son in front of him, Max.
Okay.
Over Van's other shoulder there in the sunglasses is Lyle Raines. And in between there between Lyle and us is Bruce Merritt.
That looks like that was Photoshopped to me, by the way.
It was Photoshopped in. So I can tell you that he was
Buffett?
not in that picture. Ed Logg was not in that picture. This is actually out at Pebble Beach. So there's Dennis Coble. Then to the right of Dennis Coble in the picture is Rob he did some stuff for the Jaguar and the Lynx, did some stuff for the Atari 800. And then Bob Smith, to the right of him, who did a number of games for the consumer division at Atari for the VCS. And then he was one of the founders of a Magic with Dennis Coble. So we formed a company called Innovative Leisure. I showed you that snippet of a game that I did for Innovative Leisure that never got released, which was Draconis Rex. So this is the group that was all about. Bruce worked with me on Draconis.
Cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wish I could find, I have a photo somewhere, I don't know exactly where it is, of a bunch of us at from taken in Chicago at this place called the King's Manor, which was a well, it was a cool kind of restaurant performance place, but it was some of the real old guard from Atari back in the day. All of the, you know, Owens in it and Ed Logg and David Sherman, and I wish I could find it. I know I have it on my computer somewhere. Don't know where. So
Awesome.
thought of that beforehand.
Were you programming then too for your second pass with Atari then in the late 80s and early 90s?
Yeah.
Did you have any involvement with TMEC? The TMEC?
No. Okay. TMEC,
Okay.
I know about it. I had no involvement with it.
Okay.
Sort of like a
I was just curious.
Battlezone sequel in a way, but with raster
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
vector. That's one of kind of a favorite amongst a lot of people here. But I was wondering if you played it or what you thought of it.
Never did play it.
Oh, okay.
I think it came out in 94, so that might have been that might have been a little later. Or
Yeah, I think I might have been at Apple at that point.
okay.
It's an arena based. I mean,
No, I've
you
seen
can
it.
link the cabinets. It's really neat. Yeah, faster paced Battlezone.
Big footprint.
Yeah.
6 by
There's
6.
been a lot of Battlezone spin-offs, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's from when we at DICE, when we first started up Innovative Leisure. And there's Ed Logg on the left, and Rich Adam, then myself and Owen and Seamus.
Mm-hmm.
What year was this?
I want to say 2011, February.
And sorry, what's his name? The guy all the way on the right here, what's his name again?
Seamus, Seamus.
And he was,
Blackley.
He was
He
kicked
did
out of the
the-
group, it looks like.
didn't he do Xbox stuff or something like that?
He was
the
socially
father of
distancing
the
already.
Father of
He's
Xbox.
the
okay.
grandfather. He's the
He
guy.
had the COVID.
He was the guy who was in charge of the Xbox project.
Okay. Awesome. Cool.
And I stay in touch with all those guys.
Fuck.
That's
I'm
cool.
like talking to myself here. Ed, Owen found the picture that you were talking about. If you give me a second, I'll find it.
Of course he did. I will say we were pretty plastered when that picture was taken.
Oh,
In fact,
good. You
I
better
was so
pull it up.
plastered. Dave
Trying.
Toyer and Dave Sherman were there, but Dave Sherman was so plastered that he couldn't get up, and Dave Toyer wanted to stay with him and take care of him. So if you put it up, they're missing from that photo.
I got to do the reboot thing as well.
Oh,
That was taken at during one of the AMOA shows, and that was our industry, convention.
Somebody's got a squeaky door.
Yeah, it's my
Oh, your chair. That's right.
yeah, my chair. I've tried spraying it.
It's not as good as a squeaky dog toy, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That was the best. And it's so funny because it sounded like it came from my house because I'm so used to that.
It's so funny.
If Dozer were here, my border collie were here, it'd be squeaky toys. Although they've mostly killed all the. So Ed, I have 2 dogs, and one dog I kind of custody share, so I occasionally get him.
mhm.
But they've killed all the squeakers out of
Oh
virtually
yeah,
all the toys.
Well, that happened. He's killed them out. That's the only Wubba that still has a squeaker. He's got about 3 Wubbas.
Yeah, the Wubbas last really well with the squeakers.
You know what is the best one? If you can find the one that's just rope ties, it's just like tied rope. It's like a tug, but it's all tied around the squeakers and things. Now that's the picture I was thinking of. Now that's Ed Logg on the far right. He looks so young in that picture. And there's Owen next to him. Rich Moore of Road Blaster fame. That's our server next to Rich, the gal.
He's like one of these guys.
Steve Kelfy, who is the head of engineering, is in the sweater vest.
Bro.
John Ray, a hardware engineer, he did the hardware for Sub. You guys remember Subs?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he did the hardware for that. A couple of other games. Howie Delman, who did the original Vector Generator and a number of other games, and was part of Sente and Video with Me, is the guy who's just partially cut. All you see is his head. And then in the front on the right is me with the Jufro. And
Jufro.
Hey, is that Welcome Back Harder or what?
I was gonna say.
Well, that's what it
You were
was.
gonna
And then
say?
Mike Alba, who was kind of the general programming wizard geek.
Ed, what year was this?
That was 1980, I would say.
I mean, that's an
And that
impressive
was-
hairstyle.
MOA
Yeah.
was generally in the winter. So sometime in the winter of 1980.
Give Bob Ross a run for his money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, check out Owen's shirt. Unbuttoned down.
I
You're
know.
gonna program
Yeah.
happy little
There
is
pixels.
that.
On the dead of winter.
I was gonna
Come on,
comment on.
Owen.
Ed, I was gonna comment on how big your collar is.
Yeah.
You can fly off with that.
Guys, yeah.
Owen's like the cross between the singer of Journey and Kenny Rogers. I
No,
think.
and he looks like he's modeling
Got that
like
kind of
Lee
thing going
jeans
on.
from like JCPenney catalog. You know, that's the kind of guy that have the jean model.
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a crop of that photo. I think I actually do have a beer in my hand, and Howie's fully in that photo, so it's cut off a little bit by the frame.
Yeah. Owen says he has this on his wall in his office. So.
Aw.
He's a glutton.
Great picture. He has the "Don't fuck with me" look on his face.
DJ Flask, I'm not sober. Thank you very much. I just ran out of beer. My beer's empty, so
I'm right there with you.
yeah.
Well, this guy DJ Flask is in Australia, and it's like in the afternoon there, so that's more
Yeah.
impressive, right?
He came down to visit us once.
Yeah.
Where in Australia is he from?
Toowoomba, I think, is the location.
Well, what's
open
that
at-
near?
Bless you.
Toowoomba's not a.
I don't
ask him where
know.
That's near.
And he's opening up an arcade
Jerry,
bar.
where is Toowoomba near? Reply in the IRC.
He'll
Because
get
I've
back
been
in
to
20
Australia
minutes.
and I
with the
love-
He just recently helped open an arcade. I think Spaceys, I think is what it's called there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, Spaceys.
I love the Australian
Yeah.
people. They were so wonderful to us when we went there. Just, I love that country. Beautiful, beautiful country.
So he says Queensland Toowoomba. We got
Okay.
a delay on our chat, I'm sure. So another 30 seconds, maybe he'll say where it's near. I mean, to me, I don't know. What's Queensland?
Queensland's like one of their states. It's a province.
Oh, okay, so he says Brisbane is about an hour drive away.
Brisbane is beautiful, and then up, north of Brisbane is where Cairns is, Port Douglas. Those are beautiful ocean towns. Brisbane's a gorgeous city.
Yeah.
Loved it. Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll be able to travel again.
Yeah,
Right.
they'll let us in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're smart, they'll
thing.
wait.
Yeah.
We have cooties.
Really
Even-
bad.
Yeah, even our Canadians who helped found this particular podcast aren't on this show. That's just how bad our cooties are.
Yeah.
Even Orange Whip and Seabart aren't here.
Yeah, right.
It's sad.
It is sad.
Yeah, they don't want to get COVID, so they don't come on the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they used to be regulars. Now we hardly ever see them.
Oh, I got
Yeah,
COVID.
what's with the purple gloves, Lewis?
My the weather's changed here. yesterday it was like 35, low of 35, which I know for most of the country is not that cold, but for Californians, it's damn cold. My hands are all cracked, so I'm wearing the gloves and
Jeez.
I got an ointment.
It's like they turned a switch. It went
Yeah.
from being
Isn't
in
that
the
weird? It's like
mid-70s
super cold all of a sudden.
Yeah, it went from being in the mid 70s and then all of a sudden, bam! You know,
Yep.
We were running air
temperature dropped
conditioners
like
last week.
30 degrees.
I know. It's so weird. It's
No,
so
and I'm in
cold
Buffalo,
now.
New York, and it was 72 here today.
We had
Crazy.
snow yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank God.
wow.
Tasted.
Oh, so are you up like around Colfax, Auburn area?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
You're not too far from me. I live in Rockland. I live in Rockland, so I'm like probably 20, 30-minute drive from Colfax.
My car is currently in Rockland.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I dropped it off for service.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, if you're ever in the area, a good friend of mine in Auburn, he has an arcade called Out of Order Arcade. It's on is it Lincoln Highway, I think?
Yeah, I know Lincoln Highway.
It's right there by Highway 80. So look them up, check it out. Tell them I sent you, and the first beer's on me. So
no worries.
He might be listening tonight, but I'll tell him for sure. So
I was down in Rockland dropping off my car today. Looks like I'm not going to have it tomorrow. Just checked, so we'll see.
There you go.
Hey Ed, do you still have any games?
I have one game. It is Battlezone. It is the Cabaret cabinet, if you guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
Nice.
And
I collect those.
It is in storage right now. We actually, I would like to bring it back, but we moved it to storage with a ton of other stuff when we remodeled our kitchen about a year and a half ago, and I just haven't brought it back.
Is there anything special about it? It's just a regular cabaret version of it, or?
It's just the regular cabaret version of it. It's the prototype, but it's the prototype of the cabaret version.
Oh, cool.
Nothing special about it.
That is special.
I mean, like no special wiring. It's just a regular production board, and it's just like, hey, this is what it's going to look like, and Ed gets it. Okay, neat.
Yeah, no. Let's see. My Stun Runner was an upright, so that was special and limited, and the only upright Stun Runner I'm aware of. My shoes was a sort of a prototype little cabinet. My baseball was actually in a football cabinet. So it's what you could get at the time of what they were making. They didn't give you something off the line, a production unit. It's when they were done with the prototype, you got the prototype. And the only prototype I was completely uninterested in was that stupid Bradley trainer. It was 3 months where I literally saw my wife when I went to bed and got up, and that was it.
Death March.
Yeah.
You worked at Apple in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I worked. Owen got me hired in there. Owen was in there first, and he's back there now. But I worked in their operating system group and for a while, and did a few things. And then when they did this big reorg, it wasn't really the operating system writing group, and it was the group that Owen was in. And they did this big reorg, and they reorged me into a modem group. And I know nothing about modems. And that's when I left and went to studio. I was hoping they would fire me because they were giving out these awesome severance packages. but no, they wouldn't fire me. So, and I asked them to. I said, I'll volunteer, but no.
Yeah.
So,
I'll take the
Well, you
package.
should have partied at Apple like people did at Atari. That would have done it, right?
no, it really wasn't that. The folks I worked with were great at Apple. I will say the group that first group I worked with at Atari, and the second group too. I mean, all the people I worked with at Atari, it was the best experience I had in the games business. The quality of the talent and just the personality of the people that I worked with. It was just the best time of my life in a working experience, and I think it showed in the games that came out. So we had fun doing it. There were times where it wasn't quite as much fun, but we mostly had fun. And I don't think you can make a fun game if you're not having fun.
Right.
So for whatever that's worth.
Cool.
So any other questions about Lagavulin or
Any questions in the IRC? Does anybody have any questions they want to post?
anything else you want to talk about?
Well, Ed, I told Owen last time, like, we need to get you, Owen, and Bob on, like, maybe a month or two from now, whenever. All three of you on at the same time. And I just want you guys to riff off each other, like telling stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
like,
that'll set you
you
up
guys
to
will remind
remember
each other of
stuff.
some crazy times. You know, I think it'll be funny. What'd you say, Mark?
Yeah, because they'll remember. Like one person will remember something, the other one wouldn't. They go, remember that time that that kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's not how it went. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a liar, and then we have to end up hating each other.
No, my mustache was bigger than yours. No, mine was bigger.
I had the biggest fro.
Yes.
I had the only pro.
Yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun to do, like in a couple months.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just gotta find time it right, and when everybody has the right schedule for it or whatever. So
let's see if we can get that log on here too.
All right, get on it, Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
You're the guy.
Right.
You get John Solwitz.
You guys got to help me with this.
Huh?
These guys think I'm a miracle worker, but honestly, it's been you guys have been great. So
John's another fun guy. He I go down to spring training with my wife and he and his wife. We're part of there's a larger group that goes, and not everybody goes every year, but the four of us go pretty much every year. So we're diehards.
Awesome.
He's a Giants fan though. I'll forgive
So
him.
Owen chimed in on the IRC. He said he'll work on Ed Log with you to get Ed, or with Bob. He's gonna work with Bob on getting Ed Log to come on.
Good. That'll be Bob will have a better chance than anybody.
Damn, that'd be the Atari crew.
Right?
Well, if we could get Dave Toyer, that would be awesome. But he's kind of separated himself from the old industries. He's very happy with what he's doing now, and he's got a great family. So
I can't remember if I asked Owen this or Bob this question, but I swear I saw in some interview sometime where, because Atari was in different divisions. It's the arcade division, the home console, and then the computer division.
Right.
The home console guys, my understanding is like, I don't know if they got bonuses or royalties. I don't think it was royalties. I think it's just like big bonuses for like a game that was successful. And so it's like they're taking what you guys created and turning into a home console version, and they're making like 10 times the money you guys made. Like, what the hell is that bullshit?
In some cases, that was very true. But in a lot of cases, it had nothing to do. I mean, Todd Fry made a ton of money off of the Pac-Man cartridge, which
I think that's the one I'm thinking of course.
So I never begrudged anybody making the money they made.
Right.
The work is hard. You did it because you loved it. If you made a ton of money because one of your games succeeded, well, God bless. That's what we were all trying to do. I never begrudged anybody making a ton of money. Sure, I wanted my share. If I worked on something, I would like to get paid for it, which is part of the reason I left. But in terms of the other engineers, no, I was a cheerleader more than anything else.
Well, Ed, do you know who was the who was the top guy? Like whose game? Like holy crap, that guy! Wow, he made a ton off of that game. Like console, arcade. Like was there one standout? Like whoa, he hit the gold mine there. He had a couple big hits. No, it was not talked about. Like was there like one guy like man that guy. No.
Like I said, Todd Fry, because Pac-Man for the VCS, the cartridge, was at the time Pac-Man was like just when everybody was waiting for that cartridge. They were waiting to bring Pac-Man home. And so it sold out before anybody, it sold off the shelf before there were any reviews. It wasn't that kind of thing. There weren't magazines, or they were very small at the time dedicated to that stuff. So he made a ton of money. But it was more of him being in the right place at the right time than that he did a incredible game design job, because it was Pac-Man, so
I'm sure there was limitations because the console, but it was awful compared to, I had the Atari 400. I was lucky enough to have the upgraded computer, and the game, to me, it seemed like identical to the arcade. It wasn't, but it seemed like, huge leaps over the 2600 on the Atari 400.
Yeah, the 2600 was a very limited machine, and the guys who could really make it sing, like Dave Crane, Gary Kitchen, Bob Smith, Rob Fulop, those guys were wizards. They're just wizards. They're sitting there counting individual machine cycles to get things to appear at the right place on the screen at the right time. And they had such an intimate knowledge of the hardware. That's what happens with the consoles, is that people really get to use them over and over again, get to learn them inside out and how to really, really make them, do incredible things given what they were designed to do. Mm-hmm. Whereas with the arcade, we made one game on it, and then, the Sente system was different, but most of the games you were working with custom hardware made
it's all one
for that game. So it was a different kind of development experience. You were working closer with the hardware engineers, but they're both viable, and both required talent and dedication and programming skills.
So Bob Flanagan mentioned in the IRC, he said it looks like, to his knowledge, there weren't really any bonuses for arcade games until Marble Madness. Like kind of prior to that, there wasn't much.
There were bonuses. They just weren't very big.
Right.
A slap on the back.
Yeah.
Marble Madness is probably, when I said, after a bunch of us left, Marble Madness came out after I left. So, and after Magic formed and Activision. Okay. So that was probably the
pressure was on that they need to give bonuses to keep people
that was
around.
The restructuring that I was referring to.
Yeah, I can see that.
We better restructure. We're gonna lose everybody. That's awesome. To Magic or Activision,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and it wasn't even just Atari. Eugene Jarvis knew a lot. He was actually, I think, at Atari before I got there for a short time, and he was making big money with Williams. So it wasn't just Atari. It was Atari wasn't keeping, if they wanted to keep their engineers, they were going to need to step up, and they did.
Right. That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They deserve the respect, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No, Ed, you had mentioned your son did some. I don't know if you have more than
just the one.
Just the one. Now, did he follow in your footsteps? Is he an arcade guy, or a designer, game designer, or computers, or?
Absolutely not.
He's a star athlete.
He did start out going into computer science or computer engineering, but quickly decided that while he enjoyed it, he was good at it, it wasn't for him. And he's a geologist. So, he's got very advanced computer skills for geology, for a geologist. So they're always, banging on him to do more computer side stuff. But, he's a diehard geologist, and I'm incredibly proud of him. It doesn't bother me at all. Now, having said that, he's one of the biggest gamers I know. Everything down, from role-playing games to board games to arcade games and home games, and just you name it. But it was not for him.
He enjoys them. He just doesn't want to make them.
Yeah, more or less.
Ed, related question. Owen mentioned that he got bonuses for Space Duel, Major Havoc, and Tunnel Hunt. What about you? Did you recall any bonuses given?
I got bonus
later?
for let's see, Battlezone. I didn't get any for either shoes or baseball, but I got bonus for Blasteroids and Stun Runner, and I think I got some for Guardians of the Hood, and I got.
Yeah, I forgot about what's
and I got
Guardians of the
some
Hood. I've
for
seen the
race
title, but I
driving,
don't know it.
I got some Guardians of the Hood was
beat 'em up?
part of the reason I left Atari the first time. So that's a long story, and I don't want
Is that a scrolling fighter, or what is that?
I'm sorry.
What kind of game is that? It's like a scrolling fighter?
It's a scrolling fighter.
Okay.
Digitized, sort of like Pit Fighter, looks like.
And I was a minor player in that.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Ed, I have a small memory of Atari. When I was in junior high, a buddy of mine calls me up and says, "Hey, my dad and some friends, we're going to go down to Atari to play some games. You want to join us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." This is the evening after dinner, so we go down there, and I don't know what we're playing. I thought we were going to go play console games, and we walk in, and it's already closed, and walk down this hallway, and they open this door, and it's the game room, and it's all on free play, and we were just, oh my God, this is heaven. Do you have any memories of that game room that you could share with us?
Oh yeah. When I first started there, I was just blown away by it. But it's basically all of the Atari games that were, but shortly after that, I figured out that Atari was bringing in all of our competitors' good games into the engineering building too, so that we could evaluate them and see them. It was one of the best perks. I spent so many hours on Space Invaders and Galaxians and Star Castle. Oh God, I love Star Castle. Tim Skelly and Warrior. It was so fun to have all of that just available for me to play. And Atari never discouraged you when you were playing. At least the engineering team. They never said get back to work. But because we'd play, we'd get heavily into it, and it rubbed off on our games, I think. So I think it was all good.
Yeah, when I went, it was early 80s, and so it was still a lot of the vector games there. So
Sure.
with Space Duel, it was Asteroids Deluxe, Tempest, it was mostly vector games at that time.
Color vector games too.
Color vector games, yeah.
Yeah, do you guys remember Kicks? That was a cool game.
Mhm, that is a cool game.
Mm-hmm. That is a cool game.
So many clones of that too. Even on my Mega Touch, there's clone of that called Lookout, and they're all over the place. It's amazing. And once you figure out, okay, well, this is actually not its own game. It's a clone of this, and then that's a clone of that, and then you trace it back. It's like, oh, this is the original game.
There's even an erotic Lookout.
There is
Kicks clone on the Mega Touch.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
Kicks plus dirty pictures.
It's a funny thing. The arcade industry's trade show, the AMOA, I mentioned it before. It stands for Amusement Music Operators Association. So they were all kinds of the coin it was like jukeboxes and all of these things. And then CES came around, and that was for the consumer electronics, and that was like a completely different thing. So we got stretched into two worlds. It was the trade shows in and of themselves were just remarkable breadth of industries that we were exposed to because of all this stuff. And the cross-pollination between the arcade games and the consumer games that eventually flipped back. I don't know how much you guys are aware of the later games. When we had our own little, Rich Adam and I had our own little engineering firm up here we called Mineshaft Engineering, because we're living in the gold mining where I'm living now, Nevada City and Grass Valley. That's the old gold mining, the 49
Gold Rush era towns.
So we were doing a game, an arcade, a conversion to the arcade from an Ubisoft game called Blazing Angels. This was, I'm trying to figure the dates when this was early 2000s. So it's interesting that so much of the early consumer games were derived from the arcade, and then eventually that all folded back. And now the arcade is kind of subservient and doing versions of consumer games. It's just come full
Yeah,
circle.
Yeah, that's
weird.
true.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
like
seen that.
like
And
Super
Ruttberg
Monkey Ball and
Yeah, Super
Mario
Monkey.
Kart has an arcade.
Fruit
Yeah,
Ninja.
Kart,
There's a bunch of
yeah.
Yeah.
phone
Flappy
games
Bird.
that because kids go, oh, I have this on my phone, I'm good at it, and I can get tickets. You know, and
Cut the
Candy
root.
Crush.
Yeah.
the
A
rest
lot of
is a little
redemption stuff.
harder.
Mhm.
So I don't know how much you guys, I mean, are into, is it just classic arcade games? Do you keep up with like what's going on at Dave and Buster's and stuff like that?
A teeny bit.
little
We
bit.
talk about it a little
Yeah.
bit, like when the Halo shooter came out, or
all the big raw thrill
Ghostbusters
stuff.
one that shoots the
Yeah.
balls, and yeah, we'll talk about certain and some of the retro stuff that comes out of Dave and Buster's. Like, you know, they brought back like the Space Invaders where you shoot at the screen, and
Seawolf 2, which is a
Pac-Man.
yeah.
Seawolf
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Seawolf 2. That's right.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's-
There you go.
Big
Yeah.
game.
Great game.
Seawolf 2 is huge. That's a big footprint.
Ed, do you play
It's
anything these days? Or what do you play, I guess? Because I imagine you still play.
I mostly play RPGs, not not the massively multiplayer online. That stuff is addictive. I play a lot of simple games. I'm not playing any really deep like Halo or I've dabbled in stuff. The last game of that ilk that I got really heavily into was Assassin's Creed.
yeah.
But so mostly my
Pretty
game
good.
playing lately has been bridge.
Well, you
It's a
are of the
bridge.
age. You are of the age.
Oh,
Just
Burn.
Come on.
By the way,
Knuckle,
Dave hosts a
come on.
poker night.
I play poker too, but online bridge with my high school buddies is basically where I'm at.
It's worse. I used to
Alright.
play bridge with my high school buddies too. So
Oh.
it's all good.
They're scattered across the country, so it's a great way for us to like catch up. So
Awesome.
we run a Zoom channel as well as the online bridge, so that works out.
Sounds really familiar, Dave.
yeah.
No, he's like in the EM crowd of the.
Yes, exactly.
Me and Gak play, and Jim sometimes we play. We play No Limit Hold'em with Poker Stars, then but yeah, we're not in the bridge yet, but it will maybe next week.
we had there's a before COVID we had a group of guys who would we play Texas Hold'em, a bunch of the old game designers and stuff. So we just get together in person, nothing remote or anything like that, and we played Texas Hold'em for a while.
That's what what's funny is I did that all the time, and then all of a sudden when COVID hit, my one buddy, because we had a local home game, and then we weren't doing it, and then he said, hey, my friend started up a league because he had another poker league, and then I joined theirs, and I said, well, I want to do my own. So now it's been going since March, and it's just not as much of a league, but we do it like 2 or 3 times a week. We get in Zoom, and then it's a ball, and we're PayPaling each other money. We play low stakes, but we do play for a little money. PayPal each other money back.
How are you doing it on Zoom? Because
well, no, we're just doing Zoom to chat, but we're using Poker Stars as the
there you go.
yes, because you could do a home
interface.
game.
Right.
The only
Just like the
downside
bridge.
with the Poker Stars app is you got to do it on a PC, because some guys like, well, can I do it on my phone? But the Poker Stars app on your phone or your iPad doesn't give you the option for the home games. So you got to be on a PC or a Mac or whatever you can't just do it on the mobile device. But we've been doing it since, and it's a ball, and it's funny because I'm almost like I like just going in the basement and doing that. And if there was a choice to go out, or even if COVID wasn't here, I'm like, I'd rather just go in my basement. You know what I mean? And shoot it. But it's a social thing. I mean,
Yeah,
we're all
no, that's exactly.
shooting this shit and loving it. That's funny. But
Like this show that
Yeah.
used to be on all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we did this 4 days a week. No, I'm just kidding.
That'd be pretty cool, just from the drinking side of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
you
not
should
trying to
delete it.
deliver.
I don't know if you've seen
Moderate.
any of our earlier shows, but we used to go for 4 or 5 hours when it was new, and with the alcohol consumption, and
Oh.
I used a lot of my sick time on Wednesdays.
That's that old job you used to
It was,
have.
yeah, it was brutal.
Well, I tell you what, this election has caused a lot of day drinking around here.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's the most difficult part about for me for working from home is that it's so easy to just be like, I'm just going to make myself a cocktail, and it's like, wait, what day of the week is it? What time is it? And I
noon, got
know
all
I'm
this work
buying
to do.
way more alcohol than I normally
Yes.
would. You just don't realize it. Yeah.
I know I started getting my wife cases of wine, which we didn't have. This didn't happen normally, and it slowed down. And then today she's having a meltdown. I think because she's realizing New York may go all virtual again. And my son and daughter go to Catholic school. They don't have I mean, there's nothing going on at the school as far as maybe one kid who had COVID or whatever, and it's not. But now all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, I think Monday they're going to go. It's done." We don't know yet, but she doesn't want to, and I feel for her because
It's a lot of stress on that.
Yeah, I can't do it. I
That's
mean, I
so
got young
hard.
kids. I can't sit there with the laptop or the iPad when they're doing the Zoom stuff, and she's got to deal with it. And now I realize I'm thinking about it, I'm like, God, it sucks to be her. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I'm thinking that she's going to start working a whole lot more, Dave, and you're going to
No,
change
she's
your-
she's on leave. She took the leave for
but that ends in December. The federal program ends in December.
No, but she took a leave from American Airlines till
got
next
it.
January, a year from January.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so she's off. Yeah.
Oh, she shot herself in the foot. She needs to go back to work, and you get to take a leave. I thought she was taking advantage of that federal leave program.
No. It was you got a little pay if you took like an 18-month leave, but she was in a perfect situation to do it. So now I know why she's like having a meltdown today, like thinking,
I bet.
"Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this again on Monday."
Yeah, but she's gonna be day drinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope it doesn't last the rest of the year. If they do it for a couple of weeks, that's fine. But I don't know. We'll see what's going on. But now I feel for her because I'm like, why are you so cranky? Now I get it. because she's got. I'm like, oh, because she knows she's gonna have to do it.
Bird dog the kids.
Sorry, honey. Well, poker.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
I'll be down under the house.
I'd help you, but I got a poker game right now.
Yep.
That's the new married fight. You're just gonna go in the basement, are you? I'm like, yep.
Are you
I know, it's like,
Garage.
at least I'm here. I'm not like I'm in the basement. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just down here.
Hey, I'm home.
You know where I am.
That's right.
Gak
Yeah,
knows
you just
Mars.
can't talk or interact with me.
yeah.
It's,
Gak knows. It's like, oh no, she's gonna come down here and yell at me, guys. Hold on, I'm gonna put down the mic on mute because I'm gonna get yelled at. She's like, you just want me to go to bed so you can go in the basement. What night is it? It's Tuesday. It's Wednesday. It's Sunday. Every fucking night.
Oh, no.
My
I
wife
even made
practically-
that, and when I was with Carrie, and I get your text, and I'm like, let me guess, this is Dave saying that it's poker night or whatever. So sure enough, and Carrie's like, well, wait, he's doing it on Saturdays now too. You should ask him if he's getting divorced or something, because like, how in the world, So I was like, I am gonna text.
I'm just
It'd be
like,
like
we had a big turkey dinner. I'm giving her extra gravy. It's like, you gotta go to bed, right?
Yeah.
Gravy.
A little wine. There's a Seinfeld episode like that.
Yeah. Who drinks a
Like-
box of wine?
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I have to bug out.
Yeah, I need to.
I
I'm
apologize.
running
but
low on
actually I have a-
battery.
Yeah, we all have
So what
jobs.
do we-
Ed.
Okay. Yeah, I know, but it's not the old
This
days.
This isn't
Doing it
our
on a
this isn't our
weeknight.
main job.
Yes, exactly. Well, Ed, it was
We made
awesome
4
talking to
cents
you.
last year.
Yes, thank you
And,
so much for.
I'm looking
it's
forward
fun.
to hopefully here in the next couple months, maybe we'll get all you guys on together. I want to see that interaction.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
It should be fun. Yep.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
righty.
definitely. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
Thanks,
on.
Ed.
thank you
It's a
so
real
much.
treat.
This was fun.
You
Louis,
definitely have
thank
the
you for
best
inviting
camera ever.
Thank you for
best mic,
coming.
Dev.
This was great.
And
Really-
Louis,
really
don't
a
forget
pleasure
to
to have you
follow
on.
up for that copy of that DVD he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis, ping me on that and send me your mail address and I'll send one to you.
Mail.
And I got to make one for Owen and
Awesome.
see you guys.
Now
Bye-bye.
you have to hand them out.
Yeah.
It's,
See ya,
it's a
Ed.
Christmas card.
Kudos.
Take care.
So what? Which one was this? 247.
247.
247.
247.
47.
All right, 3 more to the big 250, huh?
Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah,
Good
well, that
night,
was
all.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was super
I
fun.
guess we're calling tonight. So thank everybody for coming, and thanks for hanging out with us. And we do this once a week, of course. And come back and hang with us again. All right.
Bye, y'all.
We'll see you later.
Really
Any outro music, Jimbo?
Thanks for participating.
I
Bumpy.
wasn't. I haven't.
Don't
I've
worry.
been so used to not playing anything because
I know.
I got nothing.
You've been on such good behavior.
Because you've been at Carrie's house and you don't
Yeah.
have a soundboard. And now you're home and you forget.
Well,
Just
I mean,
take a couple
Let's
in
hear
there.
the oomcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much is it?
Oh shit! No, I got no.